So why don't you start, Divya?
Hi, all of you. I'm Divya Sheth. I live between Calcutta, Bombay. Um, so I have been, struggling with Hashimoto's thyroiditis since a long time. I think almost 10 years. And
Okay.
for that, I couldn't even conceive. So I tried a lot of things like homeopathy, Ayurveda. I was with Dr. KP Khalsa, New Orleans,
Mm-hmm.
for the longest. And then, during COVID, we decided I turned 40 that we would go on with an IVF. So I got an
Mm-hmm.
IVF done, and in the first cycle only I was pregnant, and I delivered in 2022 10th April. I delivered two boys. And so then everything was fine. The kids were fine. I was fine. I had put on almost 22 kgs,
Mm-hmm.
and postpartum I have been able to reduce it completely, like all the weight is off now thanks to exercise, good diet,
Mm-hmm.
and just good practices. So I was somehow wanting to get off those thyroid medicines, a
Okay.
and now that I'm 43, my periods are also off and on. There is
Mm-hmm.
no problem at all. I'm living a very, very healthy, active life. There is no
Mm-hmm.
problem, but just, so that, the menopause is as fluid as, my life has been till now.
Yeah.
And just like, for good information. And I know, I always wanted to do a session with you, but
Mm-hmm.
just because I wanted to get, back to work, so I couldn't get into like the whole month thing. I
Mm-hmm.
at least thought, let me, do this like a teaser and then go on with
Yeah,
something
yeah.
else.
True. No,
So
no,
that's
definitely great. And I hope you have some takeaways from the session. Thank you so much,
for
Divya, for
sure.
introducing yourself. Maybe Aarti, Viritha, or Harshita, would you want to introduce yourself? I think our okay, Viritha, yeah, yeah, please go on.
Yeah. Hi everyone. My name is Virita, and so last year we moved to Hyderabad from Mumbai.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm 40 years old, and my husband Amit was under you for a session. I mean, for a program with Rohit during COVID.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I remember. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
For me, see, I have an autoimmune condition called Hashimoto's,
Yeah.
and this got diagnosed when I delivered my baby. Earlier,
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking it as hypothyroidism,
Mm-hmm.
and I was on thyroid pills since when I was 18 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So only post delivery that I got to know that it's not hypothyroidism, but it is Hashimoto's.
Okay.
And so on and off, my diet is not so well. The other aspects are I would say, diet and lifestyle. Both are
Okay.
not managed well. But when I know that, when I'm managing those well, it is on track.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm dealing with that currently.
Okay. Perfect. So I think for the ones who are in their late 30s and 40s, this session is going to be a great icebreaker for on a lot of things that we ignore on a regular basis for health. Before I move on, Aarti, would you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi. I'm Aarti from Pune,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm 49 now. So it's
Mm-hmm.
like just the hormonal changes. What I'm noticing these days is
Mm-hmm.
like, sometimes a little hair fall, or sometimes
Yeah.
mood swings.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that would be a perimenopause symptoms or something. Though
Yeah.
I'm getting my periods regularly,
Mm-hmm.
but the thing is like sometimes notice a little lumps in my bust, and
Okay.
sometimes they're very soft, sometimes it's like a little painful. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking maybe all this is related to my hormones only.
Mm-hmm. Uh,
Yeah.
uh, yes, hormones do play a lot of up and down during these years, but I would still recommend it's always better to get a diagnosis done, even if you feel slightest of any change specifically in your bust. It's always a good idea because God forbid if it's anything is there, early detection is always better than a late detection. So having said that, if your periods are normal, if you otherwise feel okay, things should be good, I'm hoping. But it's always good to, anyways, for everybody, it's recommended to go through a medical examination during this time, because hormones at this time, specifically during this transition time from perimenopause to menopause, and if you're carrying a lot of baggage from the past, if your diet had not been right in the past, or lifestyle had been there's had been a lot of stress, or you've been accumulating a lot, then everything during this phase of life will show up in body or mind in some way or the other. So this is what I'll be talking about in the session also. But yeah, it's always good to kind of diagnose, get yourself diagnosed as well.
I had done
So
that around 2 years back. I'd got my sonography and everything done of my breast. So they were
mhm.
just water cysts, the doctor had said. So
Okay,
nothing to
then it's
worry as of now. But yeah.
perfect. So yeah, I
So
think diet
the
and
size
lifestyle
also
can
maintained. Yeah. Yeah, I've been
perfect.
maintaining a good lifestyle, but lately I've been noticing that my weight would normally be 58 to 60, not more than that. But now it's like 66. So I'm a little
Mhm.
worried why the increase in the weight has happened. And then, I'm trying to follow a little,
Normal.
yeah. I don't
It's
know why
normal
this six
if you.
kilos. Huh.
I tell you why. I'll come on. I'll talk about all of this. Why weight gets stuck during this time as well. So we'll cover all of this. Thank you, Aarti, for introducing yourself. I think Harshita is there. Harshita, would you want to introduce, or else I can start my session? Okay. Hi, Harshita. We cannot hear you, Harshita. I think you're on mute.
Yes, sorry. Hi. So basically, it's fine, but I'm curious to know about hormones because I think they affect your emotional health also, your mental
Yes.
health also.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
think if we can fix it in the root cause of our body,
Yeah.
that
Perfect. Great. No, that definitely is there. I think this is why I have kind of shifted my focus a lot on women's health, because specifically late 35 and 40 is such a transitional time for women, and most of us actually do not know what's going on. So just give me a moment. I'll just share PPT and we'll start the session from there. Just give me a second.
Just a doubt, Deepthi.
Yeah.
Do we need to keep some pen, paper, or something
Uh,
handy?
If you want, I would recommend yes, because though most of it is mentioned in the PPT, and I'll also be sharing the recording with you. But if you want to make some quick notes when I'm talking, because I've just made the quick notes in the PPT, but I'll be more elaborative and more, explanatory in my speaking. So if you want to make some notes while I speak, you
Sure.
can. Yeah. Okay. It's
Yeah,
always a
just
good
give
idea. You
give us
have no,
just give us a minute so that we just collect the pen and paper with
no
us.
problem. In
Or
the meantime, I'll just I'm working
yeah.
on sharing the PPT. That's okay.
And what about the dress code? Do we need to be in our relaxed
Nothing,
clothes
nothing.
or
So I'll be guiding you on some yoga postures that can really help during this time of your life. But we are not practicing. I'll just guide you on how it happens, because there's another program that I'm coming up with, which is a 21-day program where whatever we learn today will be a practical implementation of living it with a diet plan, with practicing yoga practices. So for today, I'll be just guiding you on what are the practices that are good for this time. And for the practice part, if anyways you would want to join the other program, of course, I'll share the details.
sure, sure. Okay. We'll just take the pen paper.
No problem. I'll in the meantime just share the PPT. Give me a second. Please let me know if it's visible. Can everybody see the screen? Okay. So, by the time, like, I'll take you through it's a 2-hour session. I'll talk about, I'll help you understand how the flow goes. If you have any questions around any of the slide or information I'm talking about, please keep putting it up in the chat box. We'll take up all the sessions in the end of the session, but I'll have a good repository of questions by the time I'm done. So wherever you have doubt, just keep putting a question there in the chat box. And let me know if you're good to start. I'll take it on. So Divya, how's your health going after your babies?
Thanks, Deepti. I'm great. I am able to do, like a good session of yoga as well as functional,
Okay.
and diet has been fab, even
Mhm.
before and now.
Mhm.
And yeah, life's been great. Thank you.
You're back to
It was
work?
very difficult. Yes.
Are you back to work?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Oh,
I'm in Calcutta. My daughter is in Bombay. She has
okay.
her exam. So I'm with the
Okay.
babies in Cal.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah. Work is in full swing.
Great. So, Harshita, Aarti, Varita, are you ready? Can we start? Okay. Perfect.
Yes,
Okay.
Dipti. Yes.
Okay, great. So before I start the session, I really want you to keep a very broad perspective on what we are talking today, because what I'm going to talk about is not something that we all may know, or maybe doing maybe practicing some solutions for our menstrual health, or feminine health or hormones. But I really want to talk about the core, the root of where it starts from. And so the approach that we'll be taking is bottom up rather than top bottom. So I'll be taking you through where everything starts from, and how at the bottom, when things are not right, everything starts to build up on top of it. And what you see at the physical level, at the mental level, is a repercussion of what lies at the base of it. So when we start to work on the base of it, how everything starts to kind of give you reversals. So this is a master class where broadly I'll be picking up, broadly it's about understanding the body mechanism and functionality, and specifically from the hormonal perspective, and specific areas in the body which work in correlation with your hormones. These hormones have an impact on those specific areas, and what you experience in your health is because of that physicality. Maybe some organ functioning is not right, or the functionality is not proper, but how those hormones are impacting that functionality is what I want to really bring on to board in this session. So welcome to the session. And just before we move on, I would just want to introduce where I'm coming from. I was an IT professional, and I switched my profession about 10 years back. I got into wellness with a very traditional food modality called macrobiotics. I don't know how many of you are aware of it, but it's something like how we see Ayurveda nutrition. There's something called macrobiotic nutrition, which is about understanding your body from the perspective of energy, and then mapping foods to your body according to where your energy lies. So this energy it's a very vast concept. I'll not get into it, but it's more about understanding if you are more like in Ayurveda, you understand if you're more Vata, Pitta, and Kapha kinds, and accordingly you map your diet to your personality. So I started with the with macrobiotics. I have been working with a lot of clients in the diet front, helping them reverse their conditions. So macrobiotics was the beginning of my wellness journey, and then gradually I got inclined towards yoga. So it's been 8 years. I have been studying and practicing yoga. I have done various teachers training programs, and the latest was Shivananda program, which is where I met Divya as well. So, and after that, in between, I have been studying a lot. I have studied raw food nutrition. I've studied alkaline nutrition. I've studied Ayurveda nutrition, clinical nutrition. So it's been like a host of studies coming in from different perspectives, joining food with yoga, and lately Ayurveda, because now I'm studying Ayurveda. It's like an endless study. So what I could realize in my last 10 years of a journey. So I started in this journey very early. I think I was about in my early 30s, somewhere around 31, 32, when I actually switched from IT to wellness. And in these last 10, 12 years, what I've realized is I have tried to be very particular about everything that I've learned, and I realized that whatever I have practiced in the last 10 or 12 years is paying me off now when I'm in my perimenopausal stage. So I really want to, again, that's why I'm bringing in this topic, that why is it important to start early, or as in when you get awareness on. So this is what I do. My education has been from different institutes and all across the world, and this session is a mix or a merger of all the knowledge that I've acquired for women's health, from the perspective of traditional understanding and modern understanding of foods, from the perspective of how yoga looks at women's health, and also from the perspective of how what Ayurveda has to offer for women's health. So I'll bring all of that this into the session today. Okay. The learning objectives, like how the flow is going to be. So we'll start with the very basics. We'll try to understand what's going on with a modern women today. What causes hormonal imbalance? What are the prominent, female sex hormones, and how sex hormones and stress hormones are interrelated? How everything starts from how do you perceive your things? So that's the base. How do you perceive things? Is where everything starts to kind of move around in your body, and there's a very strong correlation from the level of perception to the level of you experiencing a lot of weight gain, experiencing a lot of perimenopausal conditions or menopausal conditions. And that's how the chain goes on. And I'll talk of all of that. Then, we'll try to understand what is stress response and how women's body, connects with that stress response. So this is from the perspective of how our mind has a role to play in hormonal health. We'll move on to the body, and from the body perspective, the most important areas that we really need to focus on from the women's health perspective is our pelvic floor. I don't think in any exercising practice or in any gymming practices or any kind of in our day-to-day routine we ever hear or have heard about pelvic floor, but this is the most important area that we need to focus on for women's hormonal health. Then we'll talk about perimenopause and menopause. I think most of us are in that phase where we are dealing with these fluctuations. And then till this part is all about understanding how things go on. And then the next section, starting from putting knowledge into practice, is about practical ways of incorporating or bringing about changes so that you can work from this point on to bring about changes in your body by following specific dietary practices, following specific yoga practices, and following specific Ayurveda principles, practices, herbs, and supplements together. So this is how the flow will go on. I think I'll switch off from here because I think I've already listened to you. So, but this was poll was just to understand, where you all are coming from and how, when I'm speaking, I can help you all. But I think we've all I've listened to you, so I can skip on to this. So this is where we start from. This is where we are today. Okay, modern women, multiple roles, different phases. It's important to understand when, when does the hormonal journey of a woman actually begin actively. So it begins actively somewhere at the age of 13 years, and it's very actively there by till the age of say 50 years. And like if you broadly try to kind of imagine your life starting from the age of 13 till the age of 50, there's so much happening. Before that you are in a different mode. Like before 13 you are in a kiddish mode, does not nothing matters. You are in a phase where you are living your life, enjoying your life from on day to day basis. There's nothing much to think about, nothing much to plan, nothing much to. So as such, then even if there's stressors before the age of 13, you are not prepared enough to, or not aware enough to realize that I have to start taking these stressors seriously as a part of my way of life. It is when you start with your puberty at the age of 13 years. And if you imagine yourself till the age of 50, that period in between is the time when you start to take everything to your heart. Something happens, maybe you don't feel good, or you think too much, or you worry too much, or your fears start to grow, or it could be because of situations, it could be because of where you are in your, life at that point in time. But what I'm trying to say is, when your hormones are active, specifically during the active years of hormones, 13 to 50 years, uh, there's a lot of physical, mental, and emotional changes your body and mind is going through. And sometimes when things are happening to us, we are not able to differentiate that maybe this is not me, because we disassociate ourselves with who we were before our before we got into puberty. We were like very must kind of people. And once we get into that phase, what changes that makes us much more bothersome, what changes that makes us much more stressful, what makes us that we become more serious about life. And if you see people who get beyond 50 years, again get back into that space of being non-bothered. Most of them, kids are settled, life is settled, your career is settled, financially you are much more stable, and then after 50 you again get back to enjoying your life on day-to-day basis. So the correlation that I'm trying to make here is that during the active phase and years of life, your hormones will make you dance to the tunes of how they are working inside your body. If you have very active hormones, maybe you may come across as a very active kind of a person, to the extent of being very overwhelmed kind of a person. If your hormones are less, if they're imbalanced, if they're disturbed, you may be more in a phase of dullness or depression or too much of thinking or worry or all those phases. So it's very important during the phase of 13 15 to 50 for everybody to learn to manage your hormones. So that's the key. Manage your hormones. We cannot change our situation. We cannot change how hormones are working inside us. But we can tweak these hormones by keeping our diet and lifestyle, which is supporting these hormones. So this is what we'll try to understand today. And okay, so now if we see what are the signs of hormonal imbalance. Irregular periods is what most of us know, because we most of the time we associate our hormonal imbalance with most common things that we know, which is irregular periods or heavy or scanty bleeding or fibroids or infertility, PMS, irritability, which will be mostly there during the peak reproductive years of your life. So I'm talking of the years where you start your puberty, starting from say age of 13, and all of these symptoms may last you till the age of say 35 or 38, when which are the peak years of peak reproductive or hormonal years in your body. Okay. And so one thing before I move on, I really want to focus on, when I'm talking about hormones, your body is dancing to the tunes of many hormones. Okay. What we are talking of today is only the feminine hormones or the sex hormones and the stress hormones, because even though there are like hormones that control your appetite, there are hormones that control your thyroid, there are hormones that control various other functions of the body, all of these other hormones are very deeply dancing to the tunes of how your sex hormones are functioning and how your stress hormones are making you function. So that's why it's very important to have that specific focus on these two specific kind of hormones, which is what we are talking about. So till the age of say 38, you may experience all of these conditions: PMS, irritability, breast tenderness, which will start to happen more as you get into your late 30s and 40s. Low energy, mood swings, insomnia, hot flashes, all of these conditions generally happen during the age of 40s. So, and I think Aarti, it was you who asked, or Harshita, about the weight, specifically the abdominal weight that you accumulate, which your body had the capacity to lose in your maybe 20s and 30s, when you may be exercising or dieting. Your fat may just go off very quickly, but in your 40s somehow you're trying your best and it's not going. Why? Because this is the time the hormones, the sex hormones that are responsible for your weight, for your skin health, for your hair health, are already on a decline. So you keep doing any effort on the outside, if your body has started to go low on those hormones, specifically a combination of estrogen and progesterone, which is the sex hormones that I'm talking about, they automatically start to come down. Like in puberty, they rise, and that's where you see rise of energy, your skin just glowing because of what that radiance coming in from the inside. So it's a journey that we are going through. Initially in your starting from your 13 years of like your puberty years, the hormones are rising. Okay. And they are rising up till the age of say late 20s or early 30s. And as you get into your 30s, somewhere around 31, 32, it kind of balances. There's a peak that comes and then it starts to again come down. So that's the journey of hormones. We have to learn to live by that journey of hormones. When they are peaking, doing things that support that peak; when they are stable, doing things that keeps them stable; and when they're declining, doing things that support the healthy way of declining, because we cannot stop that. That's the journey of life. We have to learn to kind of map our own ways to that journey. So then other signs that you may come across is thyroid imbalances, specifically in perimenopause. Perimenopause, when I say, it's the age group that I'm talking about, specifically majorly in your 40s. It may start somewhere around 39, 38. Perimenopause actually had started hitting early to a lot of women these days because of our diet, lifestyle, and various other reasons. But 40s majorly is the time of perimenopause, which is like about 10 to 12 years of your life, which nobody is talking about. Everybody talks about pregnancy, about all these conditions, PMS, and menstrual conditions. Nobody talks about perimenopause, which is such a crucial time in a woman's life. And this is the time when you also may experience these conditions, which you think are something that you should not be talking about, like hot flashes. How many women now people have started talking about it, but I don't remember parents' generation or even grandparents' generation ever talking about these conditions. But I'm sure they must have gone through it, because it's a normal part of being in 40s. And then insomnia, mood swings, your body changing, you're dealing with a lot. So 40s is a time when you're dealing with a lot, frankly. And then you have low resistance to stress. Most of you who are in their 40s must have observed, and a lot of clients also that I come across, it's like coming out of my experience as well, that In your 40s, your resistance to stress or taking in anything goes low. So your episodes of anger, your episodes of bursting out will be more. And it's nothing wrong with you. It's because, again, the hormone which supports the feel good factor in you has started to decline, which is estrogen and progesterone, and the hormones which are responsible for giving you more stress because of our lifestyle already are going high, which is cortisol, which is the stress hormone. I'll explain how all of this works later, but you have to understand whatever is going on within your body during these years or this time is an interplay of good hormones or the sex hormones coming down, and the, I would not say bad hormones, but the hormones over release of hormones that may not be good for us rising. And then that's where diet and yoga practices help to bring those hormones which are not playing good in our body down, and the hormones which are declining, helping them support that they go up. And that's where you start to see changes in your body and in your thought process, in your mind, emotional health, everywhere. So, okay. So, now, one thing again, because I'm just trying to take you through this journey very slowly and step by step. So, before we understand further how it goes, it's very important to set in your mind, if you can learn to live a way of life that keeps your hormones balanced, keep weight aside, keep digestive health aside, keep thyroid issues aside, everything aside. If you completely, from 360-degree perspective, shift your focus on making sure that you do everything that will keep your hormones balanced, gradually you realize your weight automatically, losing weight is no more a problem for you. Your skin health does not suffer. Your weight journey is much more easy. Your health conditions like thyroid, like maybe fatigue building up, or your body changing for other health reasons. So everything is in control when your hormones is in control. So at the root level, hormones is the key. And if balanced, you will look and feel best at the peak of yourself at any age. You will live to your best potential, which means your energy levels will not decline. The aspirations that you carry, the goals that you carry for yourself, you will have all the energy and positivity to go keep achieving all of that. And then you'll enjoy life at its peak, because when you're not good, feeling good at the physical, at the body level, everything else takes a backseat. So you maybe there's a difference between living life and feeling lively. So balanced hormones make you live lively, as compared to imbalanced hormones that just are supporting your life living on a daily basis. So if your hormones are imbalanced, any condition that you can think of, from the menstrual perspective, be it PMS, PCOD, PCOS, be it fertility issues, be it low sex drive, so this is from the sexual perspective, but your skin health, your hair quality going down, your weight concerns coming up, your other health factors deteriorating. So if you have any health conditions, these not coming under control, at the root level is very much to do with imbalanced hormones. And from the mood and emotional level, you feeling more grumpy and dull, and not experiencing life the way you want to. Not that you don't want to, but somewhere you don't get that kick or push from inside because of imbalanced hormones. Now, specifically for the women's health perspective, even though, as I said, there are many other hormones playing inside the body doing different roles, what we really need to be aware of and focus on is two things. One, what does sex and stress hormones mean, and what is their interrelationship, and what can we do to keep that interrelationship balanced. And secondly, from the physical perspective, what is pelvic floor, why is it important, what can we do to what is the role of pelvic floor health in your in your menstrual health, in your perimenopausal health, and even beyond that. So, overall, when it comes to your femininity, I would say, what is the role of pelvic floor? So these are the two areas that I'll be majorly explaining, and then coming on to the solutions for these areas. So now, again, if we look at in modern times, today's times, what is it that's causing hormonal imbalance? Now, I think most of us relate to it, but I really want to focus on these areas, because when we are thinking of bringing about changes in our diet and lifestyle, we need to look at all of these areas and what can we do to counteract or bring down these areas, so that we start to focus on supporting our sex hormones and bringing down the stress hormones. So subtle factors: stress, worry, anxiety. We know, I think all of us know that stress is not good for hormones, but I'll get into the signs of how stress actually turns into physical manifestation of what's going on in your body and how it is impacting your hormones, and that why it is very, very important to take out some time for yourself every single day to kind of keep evading that stress that builds in your body and mind every single day. So that's where breath work practices, that's where meditation practices become really, really important. And then another thing that I really want to have huge focus on is lack of deep rest and relaxation. I think this area most of us are not aware of, but I'll talk about it later. Then overstimulation, because specifically a female's body is meant to be in a very a constant state of balance. If you are doing over, or if you're doing under, and if you're in a state of imbalance, believe me, whatever best diet you bring in, whatever best even yoga practices you bring in, or even the Ayurveda practices, or any other practices that you do, if you're overdoing any of these or underdoing any of these, it will be a lifelong struggle for you to maintain yourself. So how to bring in that balance is also that I'll talk about. And then ignoring the feminine needs of the female body. What I mean by this is sometimes maybe you are tired and your body tells you that I want that 10 minutes of rest. I just want to lie down and I just kind of want to come back to my senses with 10 minutes of rest. That's your body telling you, and your brain tells you, no, I have 100 things to do. I have to pick up kids. I have to do my work in the kitchen. I have to do this, that 100 things. And you give priority to your work rather than giving priority to what your body was telling you at that time. Is enough for your body to bring about, give rise to that stress response in the body, ultimately having an impact on your sex hormones, which are responsible for your feel good factor. So that's the chain, how it goes. So that's why these are the subtle factors, but why it's very important to focus on these, and how you can bring about these small little uh, practices in your daily routine is what the practical part of the session is going to be. From the physical perspective, of course, we all know it's most of it starts with our diet, and that's why cleaning up your diet is very important. Then it's about taxed internal organs. So most important systems of our body that have a role to play for your hormonal health. Digestive system has a huge role to play. Your liver has a huge role to play. So the very first thing for all of us that I would recommend who really want to bring about hormonal imbalance is to go through a liver detox, because liver is the place where these sex hormones are um, are kind of balanced or purified, or excess of it is eliminated. So if your liver is in a toxic condition, best diet, best exercise will not give you the best results, because that liver is the part of the body that will ensure that excess hormones which are giving you excesses, which is causing all that physical and mental changes in the body, is not able to process the excess of it. So once the excess goes out of the body is where the body balance starts to happen. So the other areas, sedentary lifestyle, most of us are into that phase. Then poor dietary habits, metallic toxicity, again a very important area. I think I'll talk of it when I talk about lifestyle. And then from the internal functioning perspective, some of the parameters that have a huge role to play is poor circulation, because it is through your blood that these hormones are moving and getting eliminated out of the body. So if you're not moving enough, if your circulation is poor, even if you're having a good diet, even if you're focusing a lot on good medications, supplementations, herbs and everything, it's getting accumulated, because your body has to move, that blood has to move to make those good things reach every part of the body, and then release the excess out through your colon. So circulation is again a very important aspect. High blood sugar levels, if your blood so if again this is more about consuming a lot of sugars, and why it is important to give up sugars if you really want to maintain your hormonal health, specifically starting late 30s and moving on to 40s and 50s. Liver have talked about, and impaired hormonal activity is an outcome of all of these subtle and physical factors that we generally, some of them we know, some of them we don't know, but why it is important to have a 360-degree focus on all of these areas. Okay, now imbalance of all of these areas leads to an imbalance in stress hormones and sex hormones, and that's where your journey of not feeling good, having health conditions, having skin conditions, having a lot of conditions starts. So now let's understand what is the interrelationship of uh, so what are sex hormones and stress hormones? What is their interrelationship, and how each one of them kind of influences each other? So now from the stress hormone perspective, there are two hormones that we need to majorly focus on: cortisol and adrenaline. from the sex hormone perspective. Now, these sex hormones that I'm talking about, these are feminine or female hormones. There are sex hormones for males as well, but there are the male sex hormones are different. There are testosterone. I think, yeah, testosterone, and there's another one. But for in female's body, because why female body is different, because we are more high on estrogen and progesterone. Men also have estrogen and progesterone, but in a very, very, very small quantity. And our entire body during those major years of life, 13 to 50 years, is built on the health of estrogen and progesterone. So we need to understand how do we keep the health of estrogen and progesterone good in the body, and so how do we keep estrogen and progesterone balanced and little high in how they operate in the body, and how do we keep the stress hormones cortisol and adrenaline low than estrogen and progesterone. Most of the conditions are happening to us because in our body cortisol and adrenaline are very high, and estrogen and progesterone are coming down because cortisol is going high. So there's an interrelationship. If one goes high, the other one comes down. So we have to learn how to bring the sex hormones up and how to bring down the cortisol and stress hormones down. Now, again, let's this is more about understanding the functionality, because this is where you actually realize the importance of your mind, and that's why I kept that slide there. So now let's first understand what happens during stress. Now, when I'm talking about stress, one more thing that I want to talk about, which is not there in the slide: what does stress mean for your body? Stress for your body means stress, of course, which can be environmental. Something like actual stress. You are going to work, and somewhere you're not happy with your boss, or somebody said something to you, or your personal nature is like that. Everything hits you, and you get into stress on at every other thing that anybody comes and tells you. So the definition of stress for everybody is different. Okay, for me, maybe I'm able to, when I'm speaking here, maybe that's something that brings the best out of me. But when I get out of this session, maybe the home stress gets on top of me. So what I'm trying to explain here is that when you're talking about stress, we have to be very broad-minded. Stress only does not mean that this is not going right in my life, or my nature is very sensitive, or at work, my work place is very stressful. Even small little things in your life, for example, when let's assume that your life is completely okay, you're very happy, okay, but still you don't feel at the best of yourself. Why? Because somewhere inside there could be some stress, which may not be a very serious kind of a stress, but even stress like you have kids in the morning, you have to go to work, and then you say you live with your in-laws, and you have to cater to their demands, and then by through the day you realize that starting from 6 a.m. in the morning till 8 p.m. in the morning, 9 p.m. in the morning, continuously you had been either working or taking care of kids, or thinking about everybody and just ignoring yourself. If you're living that kind of a life without without thinking that, okay, this is a perfect life for me, I don't have any stress, just going non-stop from 6 to 8 p.m. also becomes a stress for your body. So that focus on rest and relaxation, that focus on taking those small little moments for yourself through the day, even if it is like 5 minutes of deep breathing in between your work, is such a breaker for your body to bring to cut down that cycle of stress. Now, when you're consuming your foods, for example, and you're sitting, and then maybe you're thinking something and you're eating, or at work you are, it's more about, okay, that client is waiting and I quickly have to finish my food. That is also stress for your body. If you're waking up early in the morning, and immediately you get out of the bed and you get into the kitchen because you have to prepare meals for your family, and then you have to go to work, or even if you don't have to go to work, you may have some time for yourself. Still, early morning, when your body is in wants some stability, and you push your body into doing active things in the morning, that is also stress for your body. So we have to and that's why Ayurveda has a very strong focus on this concept of dinacharya, which guides us that how you should be living your life, how you should be taking breaks in between, and what are the junctions through the day that you should be taking breaks, so that you keep breaking that cycle of stress. We cannot stop that stress to happen. We can only learn to break that cycle of stress multiple times through the day. So how the psychology actually functions inside your mind. So most three areas in your mind that are responsible for bringing about the chain of how the hormones direct your body. Okay, so so emotional processing starts in one of the areas which is called amygdala, that sends out stress signal to your hypothalamus. So okay, in a layman language, hypothalamus is that area of the body that takes the information from the senses For example, you're listening to this session, okay? Now your ears are taking, so you have five senses: eyes, skin, nose, ears, and your sense of smell. So from either of any of these senses, the information is going inside your body. Through smell, there is some information going in which passes on a message to your brain that, okay, this smell I like, this smell I don't like. Or as of now, whatever I'm speaking right now, you are taking in information through your ears. Now how your brain is functioning at the moment is, whatever you are listening to is going to your hypothalamus. Hypothalamus, along with this specific area which is called amygdala. So hypothalamus will perceive that, okay, this information is pleasant for me, or this information is not pleasant for me. And this information may be coming in either through what you see, either through what you listen, either through what you feel, either through what you smell. Information going in through all of these five senses, reaching this area of hypothalamus. Now, if your hypothalamus perceives that what I'm listening, I'm not liking, I want to get out of this session, okay? That's a negative feedback. Your system will say, okay, I don't want this. How the chain will happen is, now when something negative happens to your body, it is passed happens to your mind, it is passed on to your body. It will pass on through the process of another system which is joined from your head to your body, which is your spinal column, from where which also has this network of system called autonomous nervous system. Now that perception that hypothalamus made through the information that you took in will be passed on to the body, telling, I need to take an action because I don't like this. So if you take an action of getting out of this session and switch off the session, it is because hypothalamus passed on that information to autonomous nervous system, which made your reflexes take that action of going and switching off that computer. Okay, so that's how our body is processing information and acting on that information that is being processed. Now, if the perception was negative, autonomous nervous system, how it will work is, it will how it will pass on that message to the body. Autonomous nervous system will activate some parts of the body, which are the specific endocrine system glands, which will take in the information, which will based on that information, they will either release a good hormone, or they'll either release a positive hormone or a negative hormone. Negative hormone, actually not a negative hormone, but stress hormone, or a feel good hormone, which would be either hormones in the category of feel good factor. Estrogen and progesterone, they lead to estrogen and progesterone ultimately, but the feel good hormones are endorphins, oxytocin, dopamine. I think we all have heard of it. Endorphins released with exercising, oxytocin released with an act of love, dopamine released with when you praise yourself, or you have a feel good factor about doing or achieving something. So these hormones are released according to the information perceived by your brain, passed on to your autonomous nervous system, which passes on that specific information to the body with the help of hormones. Now your organ systems will function based on the information of the hormones received as perceived by your brain. And that's the reason, when you talk about or think about female hormones, we really need to focus on our mind first and body later. So when we have a lot of focus on medications, when we have a lot of focus on diet, when we have a lot of focus on anything which is physicality related, it is just 50% of the effort, because you are not stopping the stream of perception at the mind level. Of course, I understand it's not happening in a day. Like you know this information and you know that, okay, now I'll change my perception. It doesn't work like that. But what happens is, when you start to clean up your diet or eat foods which strengthen your brain, which help certain nutrients which support the brain activity, certain yoga practices that cool down your mind activity, certain Ayurveda herbs that bring down the stress levels, for example ashwagandha, for example shatavari, for example brahmi, that have a role on cooling down your mind. Automatically your brain cools down, and the information that your brain then passes on to your autonomous nervous system is more of a calming information, is more of a information that will release feel good hormones. Now when the feel good hormones are moving in the body, is where you start to see major reversals in the body, because that's where your body functioning is happening right. That's where your sex hormones are functioning right, because everything being directed by the mind is all positive. When the mind passes on negative is where the problem happens. Now, we understood the mind part of it. It starts with the mind, but now after mind, it reaches, how it reaches the body is where I want to talk about, and what is its impact, because this is where the actual impact is. So if you understand this slide that I have right now, you'll understand what I'm why I'm having a very strong focus on focusing on your spinal health, focusing on your calming down your mind, doing activities which can break down that cycle of stress through the day. And that is why does it become very, very important from the food perspective to have specific foods in your diet that strengthen your brain, bringing yoga practices that calm down yourself, like breathwork practices, like meditative practices, because that keeps your mind in a good shape, and with that it keeps your body in a good shape. So very quickly, if I have to explain you, autonomous nervous system is the system that makes us think, move, walk, eat, any action that we take in the body, either the information that goes in, or the outcome of that information in the form of our actions, precisely who we are and how do we function and operate, is all under the control of autonomous nervous system. So very simply, autonomous nervous system is divided into two parts. One is called sympathetic nervous system, the other one is called parasympathetic nervous system. So from the brain perspective, your one side, so we know we have two sides of the brain, right? One side of the brain symbolizes the sympathetic nervous system, the other one symbolizes the parasympathetic nervous system. And there's a lot of research done on this understanding, uh, and science also kind of this is like a scientific perspective only, but science has proven what yoga had proven years and years before, that people who are more active on the sympathetic brain side are the people who are warriors, are the people who are fearful people, are the people who will have a lot of anxiety, are the people who are prone to chronic or overwhelming conditions of the mind, something like overactivity or high anxiety or not being able to relax. And the people who are, so this happens when your sympathetic system is an imbalance, is in imbalance state. When your sympathetic system is in balance state, you are a person who understands the balance between rest and activity. You will be the one who would be the great achievers in life, because you will put in your best energy to achieve something, and then once you achieve that, you come in a state of relaxation to rejuvenate yourself. So that relaxation part of the brain is called parasympathetic nervous system, which is the other side of the brain. So parasympathetic nervous system is it's also called the rest and digest system of the body. Sympathetic nervous system is also called the fight and flight response of the body. So I think we've listened, we know of that. So I'll give an example. Uh, so after the session, you decide, okay, I let me have my breakfast. So from the point of standing and getting into the kitchen and getting your meals done, it is because some hormone triggered the sympathetic nervous system and told your body that now it is my time to get active and get my breakfast done, and for that I have to get up, get into the kitchen, make my meal, and then eat it. Okay, so every activity that happens inside the body is a function of sympathetic nervous system. Every relaxation thing in the body that happens is a function of parasympathetic part of the body. So at bedtime, when you sleep, it is because your parasympathetic system is activated. During daytime, when you're working, it is because your sympathetic nervous system is activated. Having said that, this is a very narrow definition of sympathetic and parasympathetic, because these two systems are related to everything that you are all about: your physicality, your emotional health, your mental health, your spiritual health, everything. The problem with females today is that we are living in our sympathetic mind more than parasympathetic mind. For us to operate as human beings in our best way, it is important for us to have a balance of both sympathetic and parasympathetic. So during the day, during the activity times, when the situation needs you to be active, it is important that your parasympathetic nervous system is supporting you. And during the times when you're off, for example, as the example I really want to bring in here, which I said that your body told you that I want 10 minutes of a rest. Okay, that's because somewhere your system has gotten into an overdrive of sympathetic response, and your body is telling you, and your body tells you, actually we ignore our body signals, but more than our mind, our body tells us. So our body tells us that I'm too tired because maybe you were very much high into sympathetic mode, and I want 10 minutes of rest to get back into my parasympathetic mode. And once you get into parasympathetic mode is where you again regain your energy to get back into the sympathetic mode. So this cycle goes on. And if you see, this cycle is everywhere in our personality. It is during the morning time when you get up, it's a sympathetic side. During bedtime when you sleep, it's parasympathetic mode going up. And this cycle is also related with giving you enough energy at night to restart early morning, and the cycle goes on. And that's why women who are ignoring their sleep are ignoring the parasympathetic side, are ignoring a chance to give their body enough rest and relaxation, and day in day out they are living in a sympathetic mode, which will sustain you till a certain point, which will only sustain your body and mind till you get into perimenopause. If you have been a person who has been too much into activity side, in your 40s you will start to see the repercussion, and this is what is happening to the females in their 40s. Last 20-25 years of being very active, very high into sympathetic mode, will start to show, because the hormones that were supporting you at that time now start to decline. Your sex hormones were the ones who were supporting you to be more into sympathetic side. Now they have started declining, and that's where you start to see repercussions like insomnia. Now your system is not able to rest and relax. You did not give it a chance ever in your previous years. So broadly, this is the area that we need to understand. Now, what is the impact of being very active or sympathetic mode? So in a layman language, if you have to understand sympathetic mode, just remember any activity, small or big, where your body is moving. Okay, when your body is moving for any activity, for doing anything, starting from a very subtle activity to maybe very adrenaline rising kind of activities, it's your sympathetic mode which is active. So when your sympathetic mode is active, your body has to also support it, right? So you cannot think of behaving more energetic unless your arms and your limbs have that energy to go ahead and do that thing. So whenever you're high in a sympathetic mode, the chemistry of your body or the changes inside the body will support that sympathetic mode, which means if you want to do things, your during the activity time, your digestion will be off. Your digestion will say, okay, I need more energy to do the activity, so I'll keep the digestion priority as a lower priority. When you're doing activity, your circulation has to be good, your heartbeat has to be moving, because the energy that you get for moving is through your blood circulation. Then the blood sugar levels in your blood will be high, because that sugar will reach the cells and tell you that, okay, this person needs more energy because he's doing more activity, and for that energy I need to have more sugar in the blood so that I can produce more energy. So the reserves of sugars in your liver will get into your blood. Now I know this is a little more technical, but I want to now relate it to how is it impacting your physical and mental life on a day-to-day basis. If you have more blood sugar levels in your blood, your ability to relax will be lesser automatically. Your skin health will start to deteriorate badly, because too much of a sugar starts to create a lot of again, it's a technical process, I'll not get into it, but too much of a sugar, there's a specific process, I think it's glycation or something, I don't remember actually, but it's a scientific process where it starts to break down the cellular health, which starts to show up as pigmentation, which starts to show up as wrinkling of the skin. So on the physical front, these are the repercussions when you start to live in a very active mode in your life. That's one part of it, and the other part is, of course, when your diet is also supporting that high sugar intake in the body. That's why going off sugars is much required to maintain your hormonal health, specifically after in perimenopause and later. So these are the changes which are happening during the sympathetic, when sympathetic mode is high. These are secondary things that you need to know. Most important thing that you need to know when you're high on sympathetic mode is, technically, now what happens at the hormonal level when your sympathetic mode is high, when again, when your brain tells you that, okay, I need to do this activity, and you go ahead and start doing that activity. Now to kickstart that activity, there are certain hormones that will release, and that will tell your digestion stop working. There would be certain hormones that will tell your blood heart, okay, pump more blood, reach the cells, produce more energy, because I'm about to get into that activity and I need energy to do that activity. And this is a very autonomous process, and that's why the system is called autonomous nervous system, because directly neither do we know nor do we have control on the system. We don't have direct control on the system, but we have indirect control on the system, and that's why yoga becomes very, very important, because yoga brings down the system. So now what are these hormones? It's basically cortisol and adrenaline, which I talked about previously. Now adrenaline and cortisol, what they will do is, as um, as your system senses need for activity, your cortisol levels, so your adrenaline, your adrenal glands will release cortisol in your blood. When the cortisol is high in your blood is where you start to see all of these all of these symptoms, physical symptoms that you see on the right side under sympathetic mode. Your blood sugar levels will rise, your energy levels will rise, your your entire focus will be on doing, and the focus of your body on healing will take a backseat. Now, when you sleep at night, the opposite side of sympathetic, which is the parasympathetic mode, the opposite of what you see on the right will happen. When you are in a relaxed mode, when you're sitting and just not thinking anything, just keeping your body still and calm, automatically your digestion will start to go up. When the digestion is good, automatically your liver is supporting that good digestion, it will start to function well. So it's like the internal flow opens up, which gets restricted when you're too much into activity. And that's also one of the reasons I always tell people who are spending their life gymming for say 2 hours. I know women, I have counseled women as a part of my consultations, who had been very much into gymming, 2 hours of continuous gymming, morning 2 hours gymming, evening 2 hours of gymming. And I seriously told them, you are just spoiling your body even more, because you are activating your sympathetic mode, you're not letting your body get into a parasympathetic mode. Believe me, your healing, your support to your female hormones love parasympathetic mode. Female hormones hate sympathetic mode. The more you are in parasympathetic mode, the more you can delay the decline of estrogen and progesterone in the body. So at the physical level, on day-to-day basis, of course, when your parasympathetic mode is on, you feel changes like your digestion becomes good, your bloating automatically starts to go down, your weight starts to come back in control, because the hormones which are responsible for weight loss get activated in a parasympathetic mode. They do not get activated in a sympathetic mode. From the hormonal perspective, parasympathetic response feeds and nourishes female health. And that's the reason, if you traditionally, I don't know if anyone of you has that interest or has ever read about it. Traditionally, it's known in our culture, Indian culture, during the queen's times or during the times of these rajas and maharajas, during the menstrual time, not just during menstrual time, few days before menstrual time, up till the periods lasted, females had a specific section in their mahals where they used to go back, stay, and just relax. They did not, they were not actively doing a lot of things. So if our grandparents used to tell us ki, just go and relax during, you should be having focus on relaxation during your period time, before you start to feel the change, the symptoms like the PMS symptoms, and till the time you're having your cycle. The idea was to get your body into parasympathetic mode, so that your body, you can support your estrogen and progesterone, and your body can stay into that system, that mode for a longer time, which will support these hormones, which will also keep the stress hormones down, because anyways, when you're not engaging into the outer world a lot and you're into your own mode, of course the chances of stress are less, and that's where you keep your balance on and on for years. So this is the this is where we really need to get back to at the root level when we think of hormonal health, both from the food perspective, from the exercise perspective, from the practices perspective. Now practically, how do we kind of bring these changes in our daily life? I'll let me come on to that now. I think broadly I've explained you how the entire psychology inside the body works. Now, uh, to kind of revamp what I've told, sympathetic nervous system, it is the stress response of the body, starts with the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is the section of the brain which I mentioned, which perceives and then sends out signal to the body. And hypothalamus, if you are sensing stress, if your senses are sensing stress, it will immediately activate your sympathetic nervous system, which is the activity system. And if you're constantly into that system, and this is where actually modern women is, constantly into sympathetic mode because early in the morning she has to get up, she has to prepare meals for her kids, she has to go to work, she has to cater to her boss, she has to come back and cater to the family, cater to husband, cater to, so something or the other going on and on and on, and parasympathetic or rest and relaxation mode taking a backseat. Now, when SNS is on, which is sympathetic nervous system, I'll call it SNS, it will negatively impact other reproductive hormones. So another seesaw that happens is when your stress hormones are high, cortisol and adrenaline is high, estrogen and progesterone activity will be low. When estrogen and progesterone is high, cortisol or the stress will automatically calm down. And this is a very important piece of information, because if you constantly day in day out make conscious effort to bring your system into rest and relaxation every single day, you will realize that your chances of experiencing stress, getting stress, will automatically start to come down. Now, you did not do that directly, but you did that indirectly, and that's where you take control of your nervous system and activate your rest and relaxation response. So, what I'm trying to say here is that even though we sometimes we think, what can I do? This is my situation. Stress ke upar mera control nahi hai. I cannot do anything about it. No, we can break that cycle by consciously diverting our focus from stress to saying that, okay, I'm feeling stressed right now, let me just consciously do one thing. For next 5 minutes I will only focus on diaphragmatic breathing. I will think of the stress that came in my life later after 5 minutes, but let me give myself a break of 5 minutes. Believe me, that cycle breaking of 5 minutes is enough to push the effect of that stress that may happen to you after that. So that these are the kind of practices that we need to bring in. Okay, so from the body changes perspective, on an everyday basis, people who are stressed have high activated sympathetic nervous system, and you can also in the physical from the physical perspective, we can also realize that for such people the breathing will be like it would be like irregular kind of a breathing. Some of them may have shallow breathing, some of them may have rapid breathing, and it may also create bronchial constriction, which means like if you try to breathe in fully, most of the people do not feel that capacity to breathe fully. You feel like, okay, I'm breathing openly and fully. You feel constricted in your breath. That's also because stress hampers your capacity to breathe out or breathe in fully. Then your brain becomes more alert. This is where I say that we are more into this SNS mode in practical realization form, where we are thinking all the time. If we're not thinking, we are planning all the time. If not planning, we are worrying all the time. If not worrying, we have certain fears. We are letting that fear control our mind all the time. So something or the other is always going on, which is keeping SNS high. We need to break that cycle. And then when your brain is alert, then we want overstimulation, which is what I talked about initially. Now, overstimulation would be like you come back from work and say, okay, you have two choices. You come back from work, you say, okay, I have 15 minutes where I don't have to answer to anybody. I don't have to listen to the kids. I don't have to do this work. Let me spend these 15 minutes just sitting and breathing and making sure that I'm breathing from my belly. I'm releasing my body and I'm making sure that my belly is rising and going down. Okay. And there's another female who comes and says, no, I have been so much of an activity, I'm tired and I really need some break. I need to do something that I like doing. And she switches on a TV and she starts watching a TV. What she's watching maybe something very highly stimulating. It would be something that she's watching news and which is stimulating her system. What are you doing? You're not taking a break. You are again indirectly you're stimulating your SNS, because say if you see some negative news, your brain will perceive that information, it'll take to your system, your cortisol will get up, and ultimately you are keeping that cycle going on and on and on. And that's why it is also about conscious choices, is what I'm trying to come back on. So you really need to take those breaks. Tell yourself, this may be a breaker for me, but this is not something that will break the cycle of stress inside my body. And until I break that cycle, I cannot bring about that hormonal imbalance. You can only bring hormonal imbalance at the root level where things reverse. And believe me, I have reversed my things. I had fibroids, I had PMS conditions, I had PCOD, PCOS. Fertility was a problem for me, and everything naturally got reversed. In my life ever, I haven't visited a doctor ever for any of these concerns, but I don't have any of these concerns now ever in my 40s now, which were there in my 20s. So, but I have focused on bringing those small little changes in my body and mind and sticking to those. And then what happens when your parasympathetic nervous system is on, rest and relaxation system is on? It is a system that makes you feel good. It is a system that will make you feel calm, more feminine, more flowy, more feminine kind of qualities coming up in your body and mind, and it may reflect in your personality also. You'll be more kinder to your kids, you'll be more kinder to your husband, you'll be much more rather than more aggressive, you'll be more like understanding and wanting to do things for others. So that's the parasympathetic side of it, that are like the adjectives related to parasympathetic mode. Now from the functioning perspective, what happens is relaxation mode regulates your reproductive hormones. So it's like it's like food for your relaxation is the food for your sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone. So for the females who are walking on this path of anti-aging, gymming 4 hours a day or 3 hours a day continuously, I'm sorry to say, are not working on anti-aging. They're working on very quick aging, because they are taking their system back into the cortisol mode, which temporarily may give them results. Little later in their life, you'll start to see these women or females would be the one who will lose all their energy, who will start to lose all their charm, who will look and feel more tired on the outwards, and who will be the one who will be susceptible to a lot of diseases inside. Small little nugging problems going on, which may convert into bigger things in later life. So relaxation for in your perimenopause and menopause, believe me, is the key. Even from the yoga perspective, that's the reason. There are different forms of yoga practices, like the power yoga and vinyasa forms, which are like complete flow and moving. You would not believe the yoga forms where you get into a posture and hold there for about say 2 minutes or 3 minutes are the most powerful ones. So if say for example in 1 hour you just practice say four yoga asanas, but you hold them for 5 minutes, versus a yoga practice where you are for 1 hour going into a flow, going up, going down, going in different directions. The hatha practice, which is where you're holding, will give you way more powerful results, will keep you much more youthful, active, and energetic compared to the flow that you did. And I think this is also a very big misconception that's going on in the yoga fraternity as well, that we have very huge focus on intense kind of practices. At 30s and 40s, your body does not need intensity, it needs relaxation, it needs its own time to repair and heal, and we need to give it that environment. So from the on day-to-day basis, how do you feel PNS? In the form of normalized breath, in the form of open breath, free flow of movement, feeling inside the body, your body feeling lighter, your brain feeling relaxed, and you feel a different sense of vision also. Like you feel much more brighter when you kind of, your senses feel brighter actually. The vision becomes more clear, your hearing capacity or your capacity to take in positive things go higher. And you need to keep practicing this day in and day out. That's how you create your aura, and that's how you kind of create a barrier between stress not impacting you. So you have to learn to practice it. It doesn't come on its own or by chance. And that's why yoga practices are important, because this is what yoga teaches you. How do you create that subtle barrier around you, that even if the problem is there, the situation is there, you have strengthened yourself enough that problem does not enter your barrier and hamper your peace of mind. So, okay, now fight and flight versus rest and digest. Again, a differentiation between SNS and PNS, and why it is important for us in a day to focus on things that keeps us, say, on a scale of 10, say on a scale of 10, 7 pointers, you do things that give you 7 pointers for being in a rest and digest mode, and only about say 2 or 3 pointers that keep you in SNS mode. Uh, what does this mean practically is the practical part. I'll explain you when I come back to the to how to bring in those changes. So from the physicality perspective, again, SNS will tax your adrenals, your kidneys are the seat of your vitality. So if you really feel very fatigued and tired, even if you eat good, even if you do exercises, even if you do a lot of things, you still feel that I'm still not able to get back into my senses. It is because the organ that makes you feel energetic and feel at the top of your health and your appearance and your beauty and your personality, that organ is taxed. So you really need to work on releasing that organ, which is where the yoga practices come up. And the three most important yoga asanas that can actually help you release that the stress in at the level of adrenals is what I'll also talk about later. And then you need to support the feminine hormones. Now in SNS mode, your adrenals are taxed. The more your adrenals are taxed, the more you're getting trapped into the cycle of fatigue, trapped into the cycle of imbalanced hormones. And the more you are into the PNS mode, one, your adrenal system is not getting taxed because it is not releasing the negative hormone, the stress hormones. Secondly, you are uh, preserving or saving the adrenal energy. That shows. So if your adrenal energy is saved, it shows up as a very radiant complexion. It shows up as a very bubbly, chirpy you. It shows up as you having a lot of energy, and you putting your energy in the areas or the goals that you want to achieve. Compared to taxed adrenals, that will not let you achieve your goals. So you want to do things, but you're not able to do things because your adrenals are taxed. So that's why on a scale of 10, it is important to stay in a rest and relaxation mode up to a point of say about 6 or 7, and only 3 pointers for SNS. So now what happens if you have been all through your life, you have been very high on sympathetic nervous system. Okay. uh, After menopause or during perimenopausal times, adrenals, because your estrogen and progesterone, the sex hormones, are automatically going down during this time. Your ability to be able to fight off the negative hormones will automatically start to go low. And the practical example of this is, you must have heard or may have experienced with yourself also. By nature, women become very sensitive in their perimenopausal years. Like the ones who had been even very strong in their 20s and 30s have these outbursts of crying or feeling sad for no reason at all. Why? Because somewhere those hormones which are responsible for making you feel low are automatically high, because we don't realize we are in a stress state all the time. So cortisol in most cases is almost high, and we are not doing anything to break that cycle of cortisol as well. And along with the hormones that had made us feel good about our femininity are also declining. So estrogen and progesterone are declining, which are the uh, appearance wise, feel good wise, these are the hormones that will make you feel or look good at the peak of yourself. They're declining. So at both the ends, you're suffering. The ones which do not make you feel good are rising, and the ones which do make you feel are declining. And that's the reason during these years, you have these episodes of bursting out, not feeling good, and having depressive symptoms, low moods, and all of that. It is all coming from that interplay of up and rise of hormones, which is what we need to learn to balance. And then when you break that cycle indirectly by getting into rest and digest mode, everything automatically is taken care of, because in PNS mode, cortisol automatically will stay in its limit. It will not be over released. Estrogen and progesterone, even though they have to decline because it's the process of nature, it's the aging process, it will happen, but that slowdown will not happen at a rush. It will happen at a very slow, like it's like a peak of a mountain. You're coming down from a peak of a mountain. Either you come down sliding down, which is what is happening with us, because of which we are facing all these problems, or there's a slope that slowly brings you down, which is where the high hit will not happen to you. So this is where we need to focus on more on relaxation. Now, in this entire drama, again, the major hormones involved on the stress side are cortisol, adrenaline. I'll not talk much on these now. I think I've talked much about it. And then these have a direct impact on your female hormones. Having said that, the purpose of this slide is to help you understand that uh, if you are facing any kind of hormonal issues, and if you have a very huge focus on diet and lifestyle, it is very good, okay, because we need to have that. But diet and lifestyle will only support you if you are able to manage your sympathetic nervous system, keep it down, and activate your parasympathetic nervous system, keep your cortisol in balance and low. And when you merge it with your dietary practices and yogic practices, or other Ayurveda practices, it is like a win-win situation. That's where you see huge reversals happening in your personality, in your thought, in your body, in your mind, everywhere. So it starts with the mind, gets onto the body. And in the yoga practices also, from the diet perspective also, we need to think mind first and body second. Okay, now estrogen, very quickly, though I've talked a lot about it, but I really want to help you understand what is the impact of estrogen all across the body. We've just understood it from the perspective of menstrual health, your reproductive health, but Estrogen has an impact on everything. It has an impact on the plumpness of your skin. Once estrogen starts to come down, is where your face starts to sag down. Is where your is where your skin problems start to happen. Is where you start losing out hair. Is where you start to get brittle hair. So if you had a very silky kind of a hair quality in your 20s and 30s, and you see that it started to become more brittle, it is because estrogen is coming down. Till the time estrogen was optimal, it was maintaining your lustrous hair quality. Now it's down, so it's converting that good quality hair into brittle hair. And I also want to talk more about this because most of the times when we get such kind of hair and skin quality, we are again looking outside. We are looking for some best product or some best solution that can bring back that silkiness. We don't know what's going wrong. Why is it happening? It's not happening at the outer level. Outer level is just a repercussion of these hormones declining now. So you need, if you really want to bring about that change, you need to make sure that how do I preserve and maintain that estrogen and progesterone to make sure that the quality remains good from inside, rather than focusing on that best shampoo or that best conditioner or that best skincare product that can bring it back to you. It's a very temporary effect. So estrogen it's a key female hormone. It maintains both reproductive system. Reproductive system is like the menstrual system of our body, which means everything from your getting pregnant, or getting into puberty, getting pregnant, having a baby, delivery, lactation, everything majorly is controlled by estrogen majorly. And estrogen is one part of it. Of course, there are various other hormones that come into play in different phases of life. For like during lactation, there are different other hormones playing around along with estrogen. And specifically during your pregnancy, it's progesterone, combination of progesterone and estrogen. And during your menstrual cycle, again, it's estrogen and progesterone. But beyond these specific junctions in our life where pregnancy and lactation and everything has happened, throughout our life, what majorly supports us is estrogen. And it is responsible for your hair quality, it's responsible for your skin quality, it's responsible for your weight maintenance, it's responsible for your like when a body starts to sag again, it's one of the factors. Estrogen lowdown is one of the major factors as well. Now technique, like from the beauty perspective, if I have to define estrogen, it is responsible for a female's appearance, whether it is be your body shape, be it your weight, be it your skin, hair, everything. And from the reproductive perspective, it is responsible for your femininity. So I'm trying to relate how your femininity and reproductive years are directly correlational to how you look, feel, and what your appearance is. And everything else that happens inside the body is a repercussion of these areas not working right. And then the rise and fall of estrogen and progesterone will actually define how smooth or irregular ride do you have through this. So our focus should be maintaining a balance of estrogen and progesterone. Directly, we do not have a control on that, but through diet and lifestyle and yogic practices, we have very strong control on that. What specific foods, what specific yoga practices, I'll come on to later. And then estrogen imbalance will give you PMS, it'll give you body fat, it'll give you menstrual concerns, it'll give you irregular cycle, it'll give you fatigue, hot flashes, sweating, vaginal dryness, weight gain, most of the conditions that a female goes through. And impact of stress hormone on estrogen. So cortisol, now this is one important area that I think you should definitely know why I'm having so much of a focus on stress hormones and your adrenal health, along with your mind health. So going back to the psychology of how everything works, your mind perceiving something through hypothalamus, sending out the messages to the body through your endocrine system, which is connected to your spinal health, and passing on messages throughout the body to behave a certain way. So if your ovary is behaving a certain way because it got a message or in the form of hormone to behave a certain way, okay, this was the function of sex hormones. Now, side by side, there's something else which is also building up in the body, specifically in today's times, which is the stress hormone. So, एक तरफ आपका sex hormones काम कर रहे हैं, और दूसरी तरफ, because our body is multifunctional, so it's doing a lot of activities side by side. दूसरी तरफ, you have your stress hormones, which is a separate activity happening from your stress hormones, from your sex hormones. But how this activity is happening, your body your brain is sensing that some activity is going on, some stress has happened, and with that sensing, your endocrine system getting, or your hormonal system getting a signal from your brain ki yaar ye banda stressed hai, something is not right, and because something is not right, tell the body and its body parts to behave a certain way to be able to deal with that stress. So usko deal karne ke liye jo pehla kaam aapki body karegi, that would be, it will pass on a message to your adrenal glands, which are sitting just on top of your kidneys at the, so the site is somewhere around upper back. Okay, lower back or upper back के बीच का जो area, somewhere there your kidneys are lying, and on top of it your adrenals are placed there. So they get a signal in the form of some hormone telling your adrenal glands produce a little more cortisol, क्योंकि this person needs more cortisol to be able to deal with this stress situation. Now what happens is, when your adrenals are releasing cortisol continuously, so cortisol production for us is very important, because if you don't have good cortisol production, you will not be able to wake up in the morning. It gives you that push to wake up in the morning and start doing things. So it is very much a part of our physiology and psychology. But the problem is, we are we are telling our brain to release too much of a cortisol by perceiving things in a certain way, which is sending out messages of stress to our body. So our adrenals are continuously releasing cortisol. दिन में थोड़ा release होगा, मतलब I'm just taking hypothetically कि throughout the day some proportion of cortisol will keep releasing, and that should not be the case, because if that is the case, your hormonal health will start to suffer, because the body functioning with too much of a cortisol will come at a stop. Your digestion will stop working, and that's why for a women for a lot of women who say ki I follow a lot of diet, I have been doing this and that and that, I have been doing a lot of exercising, and I feel very stressed क्योंकि इतना करने के बाद भी I'm not able to lose weight. Diet and lifestyle will only happen when you bring your system back to rest and relaxation, because if you keep thinking, if you keep bringing in that stress, cortisol will keep releasing, and with that cortisol your digestion will stay off, and if the digestion is off, even if you're bringing in the right foods, they will not get processed. So even if you're eating the right things, as much as smoothies, raw things, salads, and this and that, until your digestion has the capacity to process all of that, good food becomes poison inside the body if it's sitting inside, if it's not getting processed, right? So you get the point. It's, you have to learn to tell your system stop producing cortisol. Once you give that direction to your system, and then when you get on to bringing in right foods and right exercising practices, the reversals are amazing. That's where the changes, the healing happens inside the body. So this is the kind of impact that the stress hormones will have on your sex hormones. Now again, this will not have a direct impact again on your stress, on your sex hormones, क्योंकि cortisol तो produce हुआ, वो तो आपकी body के systems को direct करेगा कि you don't work, you work. Digestion, you don't work, and digestive processes, you stop. Heart, you keep running fast because we need more energy and produce more energy. So some of the systems will shut off, your elimination will shut off. So for the people who are constipated, who are not able to release much, or who are holding a lot, will be the ones who will suffer a lot of hormonal problems. Constipation is one of the major reasons for hormonal imbalance. Most women don't know that, because a clogged body will so excess estrogen, so our body produces different kinds of estrogen, and a balance of these estrogen has to be up to a certain level in the body. When the estrogen is very high in the body, that is where you start to get imbalances of hormones. और अगर आपकी body eliminate नहीं कर रही है वो excess hormone through your colon, through your passage pathways, then that excess hormone is getting accumulated in the body. So opening up your constipation and focusing on a liver detox are the two most important things for anybody going through any kind of hormonal imbalance. बट ये भी आपको चलो, ये तो एक इनडायरेक्ट अप्रोच है फॉर स्ट्रेस हार्मोन्स टू impact your sex hormones. Why the impact shows up in your 40s and 50s is very important piece of information. आपका जो adrenals है, which releases the stress hormones, also has a capacity to release sex hormones. Okay, now what happens is, as you reach your menopause during your 50s, it means that your estrogen and progesterone production in your ovaries is over, because it was there till the time you were producing eggs. Now that process has stopped. Does that mean that our body is not producing estrogen anymore? No, because if your body is not producing estrogen, your skin will completely sag. You will become like a very wrinkled and very lean kind of a person, just like a structure of a skeleton. A lot of body processes will not be able to work, because estrogen has a role to play in a lot of body function. So the body cannot allow you to not produce estrogen, but the main organ which was producing estrogen comes at a shutdown in starting from your 40s in your perimenopause up till your menopause, and after that it stops. So what happens is nature has given us another source of estrogen production. Once the estrogen production stops to happen in your ovaries, the role is taken over by your adrenals. Okay, so if your adrenals are not producing cortisol, they are producing estrogen. It is like it's like a seesaw kind of an of a relationship. If your body is producing more cortisol under the state of stress, your potential to produce estrogen after starting from your 40s to your 50s and beyond goes down very drastically. But if you are able to manage your stress hormone cortisol by breaking that cycle of stress every single day making in that effort, so by the time you reach in your 40s and 50s, automatically what happens is your adrenals are trained to release estrogen. That is where you support your appearance, that is where you support your skin health, that is where you support the metabolism of calcium in the body, that is where you support the bone health inside the body. As long as your adrenals are producing enough estrogen, your aging will be delayed. As long as you are producing more cortisol is where the quick aging will happen. That is what is happening majorly to the world, women's world these days, specifically in their 40s and 50s, because they have not learned to train their adrenals to produce estrogen by breaking that cycle of stress and getting more into relaxation mode. So everything banks. So when I'm talking of that, I'm also emphasizing on the importance of sleep, timely sleep, enough rest, conscious inducing of relaxation through breathwork practices, through meditation practices, because that is where you're breaking the cycle of cortisol. You cannot break it directly. You can only break it indirectly by pushing yourself into these activities. And that's where these are important, very, very important, more important than watching a TV, more important than listening to your husband, continuously day in, day out without taking breaks for yourself, or listening to your kids or parents or husband or anybody else. You need that time for yourself for their good only, because the more energy you have, the more you can serve others. So that's the importance of rest and relaxation and sleep for us. So through this, actually, I really wanted to focus on this fact that adrenal focus, again, through dietary practices, through yoga practice, through bringing in Ayurveda herbs, something like, again, ashwagandha, something like shatavari, which bring down the cortisol levels scientifically, which is scientifically proven. So bringing in herbs like ashwagandha will will help you keep supporting your stress response somewhere. Then bringing in yoga practices where you're focusing more on your asanas, which are helping you stimulate your kidneys and your adrenal areas. Inversions like which are helping you stimulate the master gland, the pituitary gland, which is responsible for releasing other hormones which are impacting your sex hormones. So these root level activities is the one that will sustain you towards reversal. Okay, so stress now, to understand the impact of stress overall. Stress hormones reduce the synthesis of estrogen that I just mentioned. One, it will reduce the synthesis of estrogen by keeping your body clogged, because your elimination will not be proper, and the hormones which have to, excess hormones which have to release, will keep accumulating in the body. This is where you get most of the females who have breast cancer, which is induced by hormonal activity. One of the major reasons, somewhere your body is clogged, somewhere maybe it started with constipation, somewhere it started with your body, your digestion is not processing things right because you were too much into a stressed state. You could never break that cycle. And even if your body was processing food, half of it was being used by your body for its functioning, and half of it was just accumulating there as toxin inside the body. So synthesis of hormones, estrogen, means that whatever your body needs, it processes, and excess of it releases. But in a stress mode, your body is not able to release, simply because digestion is off, elimination is off. Your colon will not be able to pass out in a stressed state, just and you can feel it in your daily life as well. If you're stressed, you're not able to pass out, right? So you have to be really relaxed. You have to relax those muscles to be able to pass out. And then it alters your sexual functioning, of course, feeling low, not feeling more feminine in your body. Stress will take over and the femininity will go down. And stress can reduce the creation of estrogen, because again, when your body has excess, it takes wrong signals. It will say, okay, I have excess, but that excess is because of wrong reasons, because you're not eliminating. So body will, it keeps measuring how much do I have and how much do I have to produce. So if it says I already have excess, I'll not produce much. That constant production is important, one. And secondly, of course, by virtue of the age that we get into in our 40s, automatically the production automatically comes down. So and stress adds on to it, and then estrogen levels of chronically stressed are suppressed. So I think it's the same thing again. Constant stress coming in from daily life, from situations, from environment, from whatever, will keep the estrogen down, which is making you play at its own tunes. And it messes with the menstrual cycle. If your liver is not functional enough, if your digestion is not functional enough, if your uh, pelvic health is not good. Now this is where the importance of pelvic health comes in. Most of our reproductive areas are encased in the lower part of the body, right? And the lower uh, uh, our body has kind of encased them in a cavity. So there's a cavity, and in that cavity we have our reproductive organs, like your ovaries, your uterus is encased in a bone structure, and that bone structure is your pelvic structure. Okay, so now if your pelvic health is not good, if you do not have enough circulation in that area, your reproductive organs do not get the fresh supply of blood. So it's a very known fact in yoga. I mean, in modern science, I don't think they have a lot of focus on that. But in yoga, it is for again for people who go through the teachers trainings for specifically for pregnancy and women's health. The first thing that's taught to them is that any part of the body that keeps receiving blood will flourish and thrive. Any part of the body which does not receive fresh supply of blood will start to deteriorate. So what happens is, and that's why circulation is very, very important. Anywhere in the body where circulation keeps reaching, it'll keep you active, positive, happy, healthy, energetic. Wherever the blood is not reaching, that part of the body will start to deteriorate. And in most women, because we are not aware of the importance of pelvic health, we don't do any specific. We of course we do gymming, we do jogging, exercising, even yoga practices, but nobody comes and tells us that you need to do specific practices that will activate your pelvic area, and that will bring about good fresh supply of blood to the reproductive organs, and that's where they will thrive. That's where you will not have PMS. That is where you will start to reverse conditions like fibroids, PCOD, PCOS. And even if you're having the best diet, again, the idea is that best diet will only work when the nutritive elements from that best diet will get mixed into the blood, and that good nutrients through the blood will reach that specific area and nourish that area. So if you're having good food, but your pelvic area is sluggish, it's not getting good supply of blood, then that good food or that good nutrition which was meant to feed your femininity is not reaching those areas. So that's why bringing in practices along with everything else that we are doing, practices that stimulate your pelvic health goes a long way in making sure that whatever you are consuming or doing reaches that area, which is where the site of hormonal balance lies for females. Specifically, the site of estrogen and progesterone, you really need to nourish that area. And then, interestingly, women are 1.5 to 3 times more likely to have major depressive episodes if there is a lot of hormonal imbalance. One, because stress is high, that is one of the reasons. And as estrogen dips down, estrogen also has, as I said, it has a very from the femininity perspective, a female who really feels pride in her skin, hair, in her appearance, in her overall personality, that specific aspect will go down as estrogen goes down. Okay, so even if you try a lot but you don't feel good from the inside, it is because you don't have enough estrogen to support that feel good factor in the body. So everything is correlated. There's a correlation between estrogen and serotonin and even the feel good factor. So we and when you work on all of these areas, specifically if I have to mention those areas, from the yoga perspective, inversions, because that will stimulate your brain, that will stimulate your master gland, which will bring about balance. Inversions, like where not that everybody has to do a headstand, not possible for everybody, but wherever the postures where your head goes down below your heart, something like you stand and just bend down few times, just bending down will make sure that the blood reaches your head. You need to make sure that the circulation of blood reaches that specific part of the body, which happens in inversions. Then having focus on your pelvic health floor. So something like a bridge pose where you elevate your pelvic area up. makes the blood reach that specific part of the body, and working on bandhas, like for the ones who are into yoga practice, who know about bandhas, learning to kind of applying those locks bandhas, that open up the flow of blood in that specific pelvic area. So practicing such practices, or from the stress control perspective, focus on adrenals, because once you start to do certain yoga practices which will start to stimulate your adrenal glands, you'll see that your episodes of cortisol automatically start to come down, which you feel in your moods as well. Your moods start to become much more stable, because now the cortisol is not as much to give you anger bursts or outbursts. So it's all correlated. And then sex hormones, estrogen and progesterone, what should you know about them? Progesterone is a hormone. It's an ovary hormone. So it's produced by the ovaries, and it's very active. It's active more during the times of your menstrual cycle and during the times of pregnancy. So it's the hormone that supports the baby and the entire uterus cavity during pregnancy as well. So its major role is there, and it also regulates your menstrual cycle. It controls and balances the effects of estrogen. So estrogen and progesterone work in balance. So let's assume that you have enough estrogen, okay, but your progesterone starts to dip down. That also counts as hormonal imbalance. Let's assume that your progesterone, generally progesterone starts to dip down after 35. Okay, that's what scientifically has been proven after, and that's why females in their 35 have to be even more particular about their caring of their hormonal health as compared to the ones in their 20s. And till up to 35, your body automatically produces and supports that. But after 35, it automatically starts to decline. So if progesterone declines, and if your estrogen is good enough, but if progesterone keeps declining, it will automatically have an impact on estrogen as well. So we have to focus on both of them. Then progesterone supports on major support, of course, is about getting pregnant and supporting the uterus cavity and the baby there, and the breakdown of that the outer lining, which breaks down as menstrual blood monthly. So it's majorly responsible for that. Estrogen is broadly responsible for femininity, everything related to femininity, your your skin, hair, breast health, your pelvic health, your reproductive health. It's like a broader hormone. Now, if progesterone imbalance happens or it dips down, you will start to feel reduced sex drive. You'll start to feel excessive tiredness, headaches, and mood swings. Your weight gains. Again, when you ask me why weight is a problem during this time, because progesterone by nature is automatically declining. Does that mean that we given into weight gain? No. It means that learn to bring in foods, learn to bring in yogic practices, learn to bring in certain herbs from Ayurveda, that will make sure that you support your estrogen and progesterone. Once you do that, and then you get into good kind of exercising practices, automatically your weight will start to come down now, because you're targeting it at the hormonal and the root level. So this is the approach that we need to take. And then progesterone, again, if it's imbalanced, it will cause you painful periods, heavy bleeding, PMS, endometriosis, PCOS, fibroids, all of these like related conditions. And menopausal changes start at the age of 35, is where the progesterone will start to come down automatically. So, and that's where it is more important to again support yourself, keep supporting yourself with, yogic and dietary and Ayurveda practices to at the root level, to make sure that slowdown happens slowly, not at a rush. Because it will, if it happens in a rush, is where women have to go through these uterus removal surgeries, because the impact is so huge that the body is not able to take it. Then you have to get into those medical interventions. Now, impact of stress hormones on estrogen. I think I've already spoken about it, but this is a little more deeper information. Experiencing stress for longer periods of time. So if you're constantly, your system is producing cortisol by perceiving stress mode. So, and this also goes back to the thought that as human beings, we really need to learn to let go. Okay, and I mean, I don't know how many of you have ever come across these subtle terms, like people say, practice gratitude. It's the biggest medicine. Practice letting go. It's the biggest medicine. It actually is, because it's impacting your chemical structures and chemical functioning of the body and your psychology. So when you learn to let go small little things in daily life, you are making sure that you're not giving rise or not inducing your body to produce cortisol, which is becoming the cause of a lot of problems in the body. So again, but it is a conscious practice. We really need to believe in it, start doing it, learning it, and then see the effect. So that's how it kind of works. Adrenals can either produce cortisol or estrogen, which is what I explained why it is important to keep your stress working on keeping your stress levels down, so that you support your adrenals to produce more estrogen, which is what will bring about healing in a female body. Now, your body prioritizes stress hormones over sex hormones. This is something that I did not talk about yet. If your body is, see, the reproductive activity or the menstrual activity month on month will keep happening in the body. Side by side, the stress environment will also keep happening inside our body. These are two parallel activities that will keep happening. Now, if your body senses stress is coming more as compared to rest and relaxation, your body will prioritize managing stress over sex hormones. Okay, now to explain you the point, for example, if you let's assume that your periods are about to happen, okay, and you are in a PMS state, and in that PMS state, again your body tells you, I really want to rest, and you know, your body knows when it wants rest, when it doesn't want to get up and do things, it just want to lie down and just let it be, just be still. So when your body tells you during your PMS times, I don't want to do things, I want to rest, and your mind tells you, no, I have to do this work, I have to go to work. Some of the, of course, important things are important, we cannot ignore them, but I'm talking of the times when we have a choice. For example, you are back from work and your body tells you, keep resting because this is what will heal me, and your mind tells you, no, let me get up and watch some TV, and or maybe just meet up a friend or just go out or whatever. When you have a choice, and when you move, of course, any activity will induce sympathetic nervous system, which will induce cortisol production, which is also a signal of stress for your body. So a stress can be a good stress and a bad stress as well. Not necessarily stress has to be always bad. If you have to go and speak out in front of 10 people, or in front of a group, you get some stress, right? But that's not stress for the body, that's kind of a internal push for you to go and do that thing. But for your body technically assumes it as stress only. So what happens is, small little incidences of going ahead and doing activities, or versus taking a choice of giving your body some rest, giving your body some good sleep, timely sleep, or some self-care practices where you're bringing your body into rest, maybe sitting in a hot water bathtub, or doing some dry skin brushing, which kind of relaxes you. Your body will tell you, okay, even if your menstrual health is happening month on month, it's a regular activity, and stress is also a regular activity. I will not look into the menstrual activity a lot because that is not a priority for me. I just need to do that activity once a month. But if I do not take care of your stress right now, somewhere it can lead you into an overdrive, and it can be really threatening for your existence. So I will focus on stress versus focusing on your sex hormones, because these are not important for me. Whether or not you conceive, whether or not you have pregnancy, whether or not you have your cycle, I have no botheration. I have given you a system. If you're not working on making it function well, that is your problem. But if I let you be in a stress all the time, somewhere your existence is in threat, and I will focus on threat. So this is how your body functions or thinks or works. It will always prioritize stress hormones over sex hormones. So even if you are eating well, even if you are exercising really good, but you're doing all of that in a stressed state of mind, your body will tell you, no boss, whatever you've done till now in your diet and exercising does not matter to me. What matters to me, you did it in a stressed mode. Let me first handle the stress mode. Once it's gone, then I'll give you the effects of diet and exercising that you brought in. Okay. And that's why, again, coming back to the importance of why focusing on practices like breath work, meditation, slow holding yoga practices, that will automatically release your system, ease out your system of cortisol, which will bring about the changes in your mind, and which will impact the healing and the psychology of the sex hormones or the menstrual cycle as well. So this is indirectly how the cycle goes. And if you are again high on stress, low progesterone, anxiety, depression automatically follows, because again, scientifically it is proven how estrogen and progesterone also related to feel good factor if they are balanced. If they are imbalanced, when these hormones come down, your mind may go through these tendencies of low moods, anxiety, depression. So for women in their menopausal years and in their 40s, like in perimenopausal years, if you go through all of these conditions, You don't, I mean, not that something is wrong with you or stress is taking over you or need to consult a psychologist or a therapist. If you shift your focus on doing activities, bringing in more of a pattern where you break that cycle of stress through small little practices every single day, through focus on, again, as I said, your brain health, inversions from the yoga perspective, twists from the yoga perspective, adrenals from the yoga perspective, pelvic health from the yoga perspective, and you stay consistent with that, you will realize that automatically, in the long run, these feelings automatically will start to come down. So it's all related to with how the hormones are making you dance to their own tunes. Now, estrogen dominance is one thing that I again want to focus on. It's a medical term, it's a new term that science has devised. But what this term means is that excess of, so till now we had been talking about estrogen imbalance. Now, estrogen imbalance can happen in two ways: either estrogen is less or estrogen is more. In most cases, estrogen is more. Okay. uh, Ideally it should mean that we should get even more at the peak of our health, but what happens is estrogen dominance, too much of estrogen dominance is the reason behind breast cancer. Too much of estrogen dominance is the reason behind fibroids, is the reason behind, in most cases where the women have to go through this process of uterus removal. So why does estrogen dominance happen? It happens because when you're accumulating a lot of estrogen in the body, maybe because of constipation over years, maybe because you were not able to eliminate a lot, maybe because your diet did not had enough water, hydration, or it did not had enough fiber, because of which the constipation kept going on for years. Or uh, when I say constipation, I don't mean that you don't pass out every day, but what I also means is, in most cases we do not eliminate 100%. So even if you go to the washroom every single day, it possibly may be the case that you're only eliminating 50% or you're only eliminating 60%, depending what state of health you are in. That is because of the toilets that we have, which are the westernized toilets. In by the process of Indian toilets, the way we used to sit in a squatting mode is where your entire cavity gets straight, which is where you get 100% elimination. But we are not doing that way, and most Indian households now do not have Indian toilets. What is the solution for that? Practicing yogi squat every single day, malasana every single day, even if you do not have Indian toilets. But early morning before going to the washroom, if you sit into that malasana for 5, 7, 10 minutes, or and keep sitting in that mode through the day. Every time when you have some time, take some time, 5 minutes off, and go back and sit into that posture. Okay, that will slowly ensure that your cavity is getting straight and your elimination is getting proper. Your excess estrogen is getting out of the system. Small little things, but have a huge impact as they keep building on and on and on. So this is what I'm focusing on. Very interesting story I want to talk about here. I visited some village in Himachal a few years back, and this was a very remote area in on somewhere around Manali side. And the women in those areas generally are walking, right? They don't have any, and it was a very remote area, so there was no, like they were just going on top of the hill, coming down, walking through the streets, just living their life, moving around, doing daily activities, making their own food. And what I realized was, we were there for about 3 or 4 days, and I found a lot of women, even aged women in their 80s, and I spoke to her as well. uh, uh, in those 4 days I realized that most of the women in this village sit into squatting position as and when they find time and need. So when they're walking on the street, they're tired, they'll come and sit back in a squatting position. Okay. When they're working in the fields, they will sit in a squatting position, and then they'll take out all that vegetation that they had done on their fields. Or if they're feeding their kids, they will not sit on a chair or a floor, not even on a floor, they'll sit in a squatting position. So about 4 to 5 hours in a day, I realized these women, and all of them, because there were a lot of women in that village that were moving around, and this was one typical feature that I noticed in all of these women. When I found an 80-year-old sitting there, very age-old woman, I asked her, like, don't you feel any kind of joint pains while sitting in this position? Because, this being my research area, I keep talking to people when I visit places and trying to understand what their health practices are. She told me, I have 6 children, all very healthy. I am healthy at the age of 80. I still go to the field and do everything. And of course, she had some wrinkles because she was too much into the sun and that kind of a lifestyle. But from the vitality perspective, from the perspective of energy, She was running when she was standing. I mean, she was really walking fast, and she was just matching what other young people were doing. And I told her, what keeps you going? So like she also did not knew what worked, but one thing that she told me कि मुझे बहुत अच्छा लगता है जब मैं squatting में बैठ जाती हूँ, तो I make sure कि मैं squatting में जब मेरा time लगे मैं बैठ जाऊँ. But if I try to join the dots now, I realize that somewhere they made sure that the system is free flowing by sitting into that squatting position all through the day in parts, which ensured that because of the excess of whatever was building was coming out, the system was more or less balanced. And when system is balanced, your energy is automatically at its peak. And that's where detoxification, that's where liver detoxification is very, very important. So, estrogen dominance is a condition where excess estrogen gets built up in the body. Majorly, it will happen through a lot of foods which are toxic in nature, which are very highly processed with additives. It will happen if you are constipated, one of the major reasons which nobody talks about. So, you really need to open up your constipation. Not only constipation, whatever you're holding in. So, maybe, bring your system in a right position to be able to eliminate completely. And in the morning, as I said, maybe sitting, squatting, and having water in a squatting position, warm water in a squatting position, adding some either lemon juice or sea salt or Himalayan salt. And having, say, about a liter of water in the morning is an amazing recipe to open up your system, and you start to feel more energetic. Your skin starts to clear out. You start to feel more easy and free flowing in the body, and you feel all those changes. So and that's where also you get rid of estrogen dominance. Then the body can make too much. So one reason is estrogen dominance can happen because of constipation or the foods, not the right foods going in. The other reason could be the body can make too much of estrogen or metabolize it incorrectly. So if your body is imbalanced, there's a possibility your body is producing too much of estrogen. So fibroid condition will happen when too much of production of hormones is happening. So this could be also one of the second reasons. Another reason could be this condition can also cause fibroid. So excess estrogen, imbalance of progesterone, ultimately lead to conditions like PCOD, fibroids, risk of breast cancer, endometriosis, PCOS, and all of these conditions. And so, as I said, estrogen. So when we say estrogen, there are different kinds of estrogen in the body. They're divided scientifically into different parts: estrogen 1, 2, 3, and different parts of the body produce it. But we are more concerned about estrogen 1, which is more related to the feminine health, and which is what can be produced in adrenals if you focus on rest and relaxation in your 40s and beyond. So estrogen, when it declines, and if you have a lot of estrogen coming in your body through artificially, through foods, through your skincare products, because a lot of skincare products have certain certain additives or certain chemicals which mimic the activity of estrogen in the body. Your body confuses those compounds which it absorbs as estrogen. So even if you're doing the best things, but if you're too much into artificial perfumery, too much into lotions, gels, and this and that, like a lot of skincare and household products which have a lot of chemicals which mimic the estrogen activity, and some of them are like parabens. I think most of us are aware of it. Stay away from parabens, stay away from SLS, stay away from sulfates, because these are the ones which mimic the activity of estrogen in the body, taking the artificial estrogen, which is not good for us, up and creating a condition called estrogen dominance. This dominance is the reason behind breast cancer, even female related other cancers as well, cervical cancer. Then it is also the reason behind fibroids, PCOD, PCOS, and all of these, like, feminine conditions. So we really need to kind of put a stop to all of these things while also working on the right part of it. Okay, so cortisol, I'll not talk much. I think I've already talked about it. It's again, it's a stress hormone, and when it is up in a stressed state, it will shut down your body functioning to quite an extent. Okay, it will shut down your digestion, it will shut down your elimination, it will cause you constipation, it will cause you rapid breathing, and your like incomplete breath. All of those conditions is with too much of cortisol in the body, because it's trying to help you to deal with stress, but continuously being in that state is where the imbalances are happening. Adrenaline, again, it works along with cortisol. So it's also a stress hormone, but majorly what we need to know is cortisol. And adrenaline actually is again a stress hormone, but it will So cortisol, what happens is it rises and comes down. Adrenal is the after effect. So for the people who feel stiff in the body, who feel stressed, even after the stress is gone, the ones who feel the repercussions of stress is because adrenaline is high in their body. So we really need to, when you work on bringing cortisol down, automatically adrenaline also is getting impacted. So that's how you bring down the impact of stress, or take off the impact of stress from the body. Now, when what happens? Okay, what happens? Uh, just give me a second. What that heading says. Okay, now estrogen, progesterone automatically start to, okay, so perimenopause and after 35, what happens in the body? Okay, and that, why I'm focusing on diet and lifestyle and yoga practices, because 35 and beyond, estrogen, progesterone, we've discussed, automatically start to drop. The support that your body had at that time will come down. So estrogen was supporting your health, skin, femininity, everything till the age of 35. Now it is like a curtain. That curtain is taken off now with that declining, and now you need to step up to make sure with outside practices and your efforts to keep that curtain on, which is where diet and lifestyle will help. Stress hormones already are on a rise during this time, because the phase we are in life, kids, family, work, and everything at its peak. And on top of it, we are not focusing on rest and relaxation, which is where the PNS gets activated. PNS, where the healing happens, where the mode which your sex hormones love. We are not focusing in that, to be in that mode. And your diet, from the diet perspective, a diet is lacking good fats. Your good fats are very, very important, because your hormones are produced out of good fats. So the good fats feed your sex hormones and bring down your stress hormones. Probiotics have a direct interaction with your brain, and probiotic foods will kind of alter your brain activity in a way that makes you feel more relaxed, makes you feel more calm. And if your brain is more calm, the signals that pass on through the hormones in the body are positive, and that's where you balance your psychology by indirectly working on your brain. And that's where probiotics have a role to play. Lack of fiber, because lack of fiber will keep the toxins in the body. It will you'll be more constipated, and if you're constipated, one of the first reasons for excess estrogen, which will start to bring about a lot of bloating, weight, skin, hair, blood sugar imbalances, health conditions, low immunity, everything. So and that's why there's a reason why Ayurveda says that diseases begin in the gut. Constipation is the biggest disease. Or not even constipation and not eliminating properly. And that's why malasana becomes very, very important yoga practices for female health. And then lack of alkalizing food. So if our blood is also toxic, it's very acidic. So when we have lack of, when we're not consuming foods which are high on minerals, which is majorly coming in from variety of fruits and vegetables, and we are majorly focusing on foods like proteins, which is very acidic, somewhere your blood quality is not pure. And if the blood quality is not pure, it is the same blood which is reaching to these organs of the body, your pelvic cavity, your reproductive organs. um, toxic blood passing on toxicity to these organs, and that's where the accumulations may happen, converting into cancers, converting into accumulation related conditions like PCOD, fibroids, cysts, and all of these conditions. Something that your body does not need, but it is there, so body kind of consolidates it into one single, it starts piling it up, which converts into all these conditions. Now, perimenopause and menopause process begins at about the age of 35 years. Impact of drop of estrogen and progesterone shows up physically. Now, how in your 30s, at 35 and beyond, you start to feel in your body, emotional and mental health, because estrogen and progesterone is dropping. Physically, you feel difficulty dropping weight. Skin starts to lose its youthfulness, plumpness, wrinkles start to happen, collagen starts to diminish, hair fall will happen, hair will typically start to get airy, brittle, dry, frizzy. Hormonal imbalance will show up in conditions like thyroid, because thyroid is also is a function, it's a hormonal function. So if your female hormones are disturbed, automatically a thyroid will also start to have some impact, specifically if you are very stressed kind of a personality, or if you are not focusing on your diet and lifestyle. So that's the reason a lot of women are detected with thyroid during their perimenopausal activity as well. Then insulin related problems like diabetes, because insulin also is a hormone. So if one hormone goes wrong, the entire body physiology goes wrong. And then you ultimately end up in a vicious cycle which you're not able to break, leading to burnout. and then you get into a cycle of doctors and medication and this and that, and that's where you end up living your life with, because you don't know where to break that cycle from. And emotionally, it may make you feel really broken, anger for no reason, burst out episodes on your kids, on your family, a stronger sense of building your own identity. This time of the life is also the time when women want to have their own identity. They want to have their work, business, their own personality shining through. And it's also because in Ayurveda it is described that this is the phase that a woman is majorly done with her major responsibilities in life, and this is the time when she's supposed to focus on her own sense of her own identity, her own purpose for life. So that's the reason a lot of women you see who are achievers belong to this specific age group, who are kind of intuitively working on themselves. Nature automatically directs them to what they're meant for during this phase of life. And then post menopause, automatically you get into a wisdom phase where you automatically release all those fears and stress, and you get into a mode where you're living for the day and just serving your purpose. And mentally it's impacting you. You have mood swings, you have depressive episodes, and uncontrollable breakouts, and various other thought things going on in your mind. It's another research which I was reading recently, which came across that a lot of divorces happen in 40s. And very interestingly, in the research it came out that in 40s, major divorces that happen are initiated by women. And they got deeper into it. They realized that there is something chemically changing in the female's body and mind, which induces them to get into a different thought mode, which leads to a lot of struggles with their partners and leading to divorces. So now if you try to join the dots, a lot of hormonal activity causing up and down in your mind, having an impact on not just personally on you, but outside in your family and your relationships as well, which you're not able to realize it's starting from you because of that up and down, which may ultimately also lead to relationships breaking. So it was a good awareness thought, food for thought for me as well. And then stress is usually at its peak during these years of your life, so you need to be really, really particular about your self-care if you really want to live your best through these years of your life. Now, I think these are the 4 areas, but let me go forward and come on to the things that we should be doing, because all of it I've already spoken. Physical sites, yes, this is one thing that I want to talk about. Now, from the diet and lifestyle perspective, what are the areas that a female should definitely focus on every single day? Focus on your mental health, starting from doing activities that help you bring down in a calm state. If you don't know how to do that, you can bank onto certain yogic practices to automatically create that environment for you. So for example, before going to bed, maybe doing some 10 minutes of breathing practice or 5 minutes of meditation practice. Even if you are getting distracted, absolutely okay. But slowly, the day you start, second day you kind of go forward, another week you achieve something else. So it's about creating a habit out of it, and gradually with that habit bringing about those changes. So working on your brain, hypothalamus, pituitary gland through yoga. You can do it through, of course, through indirectly, subtle way. You can do it through your breath practice, through meditation. Physically, you can do it through inversion practices, something like Paschimottanasana. Again, you sit down and you bring your body forward, your head goes down below your um, heart, which automatically brings down the flow of blood to your brain, which will have the same effect. Something like Sarvangasana, where you do a shoulder stand, blood flowing towards your brain and strengthening your mental health. Then postures like Padhastasana, where you stand and bend your body forward. Uh, there are various other asanas also. I'll talk about it, but these are the ones physically you can pick up any of these channels to bring about changes. Then focus on adrenal glands. I'll talk about 3 asanas which are amazing for kidneys and adrenal glands, and stimulating adrenals to slow down the production of cortisol and bring down the stress levels. And pelvic floor postures. Okay, all of this we've already talked about. Pelvic floor, I told you why it is important, because our reproductive organs are encased there and healthy blood flow is important there. If your pelvic floor is either too tight or droopy, it can impact your menstrual health. So, and then when the blood flow reaches there is where the healing happens. Now, areas of focus for women, again, the same thing, activating your parasympathetic mode, which means consciously distracting yourself from stress activity. Even if you're stressed constantly, maybe you can. So how I did it was, I knew all of this, but I did not knew how do I bring about change in my life, because when stress is up, what do I do? It's up means it's up. It's not helping me. And I was not myself able to get out of it. So what I did was, for every 2 hours, I started putting up an alarm on my phone telling that every 2 hours, I will take a 5 minutes break wherever I am, whatever I'm doing. I'll just focus that 5 minutes on stilling myself and breathing. That's all. Breathing as in abdominal breathing, just making sure that you're not, when you're breathing, your abdomen is coming, going in and coming out. Abdomen going out, in and out means your diaphragm is getting activated. When your diaphragm is getting activated, it is connected to something called vagus nerve, which is the nerve that connects your gut to your brain. So when you're breathing, your belly breathing through the vagus nerve, the effect reaches your brain, and that calms down your brain. So that's the connection between belly breathing, and that's where it is important to break that cycle by bringing that. So my transition started with keeping that alarm on and taking 5 minutes of breathing breaks wherever I am, which started to bring about a level of clarity in my thought, which started to kind of make me feel more fresh. And after that, I started journaling to take out whatever stress I had, even if it was like 1 page of stress, but I was making sure that it's out of my mind. So that's the second thing that really, really helped me. Of course, I was into yoga. So I started focusing on these areas that I just talked about. And through food, of course, being a nutritionist, I knew what foods to bring in. I started to focus majorly on good fats, which are coming in from foods like majorly omega-3 fatty acids, flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, walnuts are very rich source of omega fats. So, bringing a lot of these foods in the diet to have an impact on the mind. From the yoga perspective, focusing on all of these areas, bringing in probiotics, because we know there's a direct interaction of probiotic, these good bacteria with the brain. So going high on that, bringing in a lot of fiber to make sure that I open up the flow and get rid of constipation. So I brought in a lot of all of these factors. So I'll give you a framework later. And then working, so yeah, I think it's the same thing that I've just talked about. Working on pelvic floor, which is the exercises that I'll just talk about. Again, focusing on kidneys and adrenals. So these are the four major areas that you need to focus on to bring about that holistic change at the hormonal level inside the body. Um, First thing, the 5 minutes breath. Now I'm talking about the postures, and I think we are just about to end another 15 minutes. I'm sorry, it's getting a little delayed, but I really wanted to talk about everything that matters. So few postures and some few diet and lifestyle tips, and we'll be done. So yogic breathing is the same breathing that I'm talking about. The belly breathing, the best approach to do that is you keep one hand, maybe you can just sit in a, if you're sitting on the floor or even on chair or wherever you're sitting, keep your right hand on your belly, left hand on your chest, and when you breathe, feel that your belly is coming up and down, and your hand becomes the anchor to make you realize that. So sometimes you're doing and you don't realize, so that's why we use the support of hands. Make sure that your hand on the chest is moving least and your hand on your abdomen is moving most. So this is the 5 minute breath break that I'm talking about. Start taking that regularly every 1 hour or 2 hours. Even a small change will start to break that cycle of stress and cortisol in the body. That's the first step to bring about calmness, bring about healing at the hormonal level. So this is one of the powerful breathing activity. Kapalbhati, what it does is it activates your, it stimulates your abdomen, of course, but this activity also activates and brings you in a parasympathetic nervous system mode. So when I say rest and relaxation, it only does not mean sleep. It means either completely retiring and sleeping, or stilling yourself, or it means doing certain practices that consciously induce or bring down the stress levels down and up the relaxation response in the body. And Kapalbhati practice is one of those practices. It will, what it'll do is, forceful belly breathing. Again, one, of course, using your diaphragm also, which has a direct connection with the mind through vagus nerve. But with Kapalbhati, you're actually, the emotional toxins that you're holding in the body, in your brain, are pushed out through your breath, and you immediately feel calm after Kapalbhati practice. So this is again a very powerful practice. Then Anulom Vilom practice known to bring balance in your sympathetic nervous system, parasympathetic nervous system. In breathing practices, if there is one practice that will help you bring that balance, even before you think of foods and lifestyle to bring about changes in your hormones, it is this practice. What this does is this, so it activates your rest and digest response, the parasympathetic response. And if we can do this practice before starting to have your meals, before your breakfast, lunch, and dinner, what it'll do is, even if you are stressed during your meal timings, taking that 5 minutes of breath break, either the belly breathing break or the alternate nostril break, what it'll do is, it will automatically switch your body mode from sympathetic to parasympathetic mode. How do you feel that? You feel as if you're breathing much more openly. You feel much more into the moment. You feel that sense of hunger. So these are some small little symptoms from your body telling you that you have switched from sympathetic or stress response to a relaxation response. Now, in stress response, I just told you that your digestion gets off. When you do these practices, your digestion automatically gets activated because you get into a parasympathetic mode. So the chances of your digestion are very high when you practice these practices before your meals. When the digestion is good, the nutrient absorption is good, automatically the entire physiology is working fine, is where it is supporting to bring about hormonal imbalance in the body. So, we are not able to relate how these practices are, kind of helping us so deeply, but there's a correlation between your breath, your digestion, your stress, your relaxation, everything is like co-joined. And we really need to just without getting into technicality, we need to learn to incorporate these practices in our daily routine. Malasana, I think I've spoken enough about it. It brings down your pelvic cavity and your colon into a straight mode. That is where you're eliminating completely. And sitting into this mode, if you can have maybe a liter of water with lemon early in the morning, first thing in the morning, you gradually start to break down toxins in your colon. You start to eliminate excess estrogen out of your body, and that is where you start to bring about healing in the body. So one thing that I forgot to mention, when you are high on estrogen, like high as in estrogen imbalance or dominance, your body feels very heavy. You don't feel energy to get up and do things. Even if you're not very high on weight, still you feel heavy in the body. Once your excess estrogen starts to come out of the body, you start to feel lighter. That's the sign that yes, you have taken a step forward to bring about balance in your hormones. Now, next three asanas that I'll talk about are the ones amazing for releasing stress out of the body. So the previous three that I talked about are working on switching your mode from sympathetic to parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and digest mode, which will automatically put a stop to the production of cortisol in the body. Okay. The three asanas that we talk about now are the ones which will help reduce the effect of stress that has already happened in the body. So I just talked about adrenal glands, right, during the session. What's happening is, in your adrenal glands, I told you, are just sitting above your kidneys, which is just the upper back in the body. So when you get into a cobra pose, now this is a classical cobra pose. Divya, I think you must be aware of this. Classical cobra is where you get into a cobra, but you are sustaining your upper body by its own weight. You are not taking the support of your hand. So when you get into like a cobra pose, inhale and go up and stay there with the force of the upper body, and you feel a specific kind of a strain in your upper back. That is where you're hitting your adrenals, and that's where you are releasing that excess. You're kind of strengthening your adrenals to make sure that it's your cortisol production is either is kind of balanced. So this is one of the most important postures. Another one, this is again the same, the effect of this posture is again the same, but this one is doing the act from the other side. So in this posture, if you see, you were activating your adrenals from the top. In Shalabhasana, you're activating your adrenals from the bottom. So you're lifting your legs up and creating a strain in your lower back, which is like a 360-degree effect on your adrenals, impacting it from all the angles. And the third one is the Dhanurasana, where you are focusing on, kind of contracting your kidneys from the top and the bottom as well. So this is again creating a very 3D kind of an effect on your adrenals. Practice these three asanas every single day to kind of support your body to release the effects of stress that it has had, strengthen your adrenal glands, and get your body more into into parasympathetic mode. Now, from the last two slides, from the Ayurveda perspective, few things that I would really want you to focus on: diet and lifestyle perspective. I think from the diet perspective, I've given you a framework. Go high on maybe if you want, you can make a note of it. Go high on consuming anti-inflammatory foods, specifically ginger and turmeric. Amazing. Maybe you can make some pickle out of it. Indian pickle, a lot of households make, but having it with your meals every single day will ensure, one, it ensures circulation. Secondly, it ensures that inflammation in the body starts to come down. If inflammation is down, your menstrual flow is going to be proper. You will not have much of PMS conditions, because it's because of inflammation. A lot of PMS and pain related conditions happen in the body. Now, go high on omega fats, flax seeds, chia seeds, because these are the fats that feed your hormones and that feed your brain. So it's like two-way action. Brain and hormones both are targeted with omega-3 fatty acids, good fatty acids. Ghee is also a good option, but majorly the very good sources of omegas are definitely flax seeds, boon for female health, chia seeds, walnuts. Then you have hemp seeds as well. Um, if you consume non-veg fish, yes, so maybe you can, or if you think all of these foods may take a little time for you to incorporate, you can also go ahead and have some omega-3 supplements. So you'll find omega-3 and omega-6 there, and omega-6 only also. So either you buy omega-3 or omega-3 and 6. Don't buy omega-6. Omega-6 we already have much in our diet. We need more of omega-3. So these kind of foods will really help you. Then going high on probiotic foods, something like sauerkraut, or maybe kanji, Indian kanji that we make, or fermented rice, like you ferment the rice at night and consume in the morning, make something out of it in the morning. So you can just look out for, maybe if you want some recipes, you can just look out for Google, looking for fermented rice recipe. So you'll get a lot of recipes around that, and it's very simple to make. So I do a lot of that at home. And then if fermented foods, including that, is a little more challenged to begin with, you can also go for supplements, probiotic supplements to begin with. That will also support, but nothing like foods, but combination of two can really help you. And then going high on fiber, consuming a lot of fruits and vegetables. If I have to give you a framework, make sure that you are consuming about 5 to 7 different kinds of fruits and vegetables in different colors every day in your diet. I think that's the easiest measure that you can make sure that you're bringing in variety in your diet. Preferably raw. Having some smoothies. I talk a lot about smoothies, and that's one of the reasons, because that increases your fiber intake, opens up your constipation, and indirectly supports your feminine health. So yes, going high on fruits and vegetables, specifically the cruciferous ones. After 35, you need a lot of cruciferous vegetables, because these are the ones that support your liver to detoxify. So when I say cruciferous, cabbages, cauliflowers, purple cabbage, leeks, onions, all of these vegetables, make sure. Cabbage, if you can, have it in your diet every single day in any form. Make sauerkraut. I make sauerkraut out of it, or sometimes I just saute it and have it every single, in some form or the other. I try to have cruciferous every single day, because that cruciferous vegetables are known to bind with excess estrogen and push it out of the body. Plus it has fiber, so that's where it becomes medicinal for the body. And then cut down on refines and sugars. If you can cut down on sugars, nothing like it. That's the first step to start to balance your hormones. So that's very, very important step. And last thing that I would want to add on, water, hydration, very, very important, because all of these things that you are adding in your diet, if your body is lacking hydration, all of these things are a fail. Because if your body has enough fats and it doesn't have fiber, it doesn't have water or hydration, the excess will not be able to come out. Then everything will accumulate in the form of constipation or other accumulations in the body, ultimately leading to the same state. So all of these factors, dietary framework of this kind is very, very important. On the Ayurveda lifestyle perspective, for women, whosoever I counsel, or whosoever I meet, I tell them nothing better than having an oil massage daily, because what it does is it activates your lymphatic system. Lymphatic system is the system where your lot of toxins are getting accumulated in the body. And so a lot of cancers actually happen because your lymph system is already full. And when your lymph is full, it has an impact on your cellular activity. So if the toxicity starts to reach the level of cells, is where your entire system is corrupt. It's like corrupt software in the body. So when you practice Abhyanga while doing some massage activities in an anti-gravity motion, what you're doing is you're stimulating your system circulation as well as lymphatic system to get activated and to release toxins out of the system. And practicing that every single day is an amazing practice to make sure that you're detoxifying every single day. And then dry skin brushing, again, you can look out for this activity. You can just Google and figure it out. It's a very simple practice. You get a brush. Before bathing, maybe you can just take that brush and move that brush all across the body, starting from your feet up till the upper body, again in anti-gravity motion. Dry skin brushing, amazing activity to activate your lymphatic system, which will release toxicity. Mucus conditions that we have in our body are majorly because our lymph is full. So when you start to kind of release your lymphatic system every single day, continuously doing it for 3 months, 6 months, every single day, you realize your chances of even having conditions like sinus or anything related to mucus automatically will start to come down, because you started to empty out your lymph regularly. So with that, I know the session went out really long, a little long, but I think I spoke out what I really wanted to at the depth of where it actually starts from, and what it actually means. So yeah, I think I'm done. Thank you so much for joining the session. And if you want, I can be there for another 5-7 minutes. If you have any questions, I can just take up those questions and see if I can help you anywhere with whatever your conditions. And I'll be really helpful if you could just share your feedback as well about, what has been your takeaway with the session. So yeah, I mean, the platform is open. Anybody who wants to just unmute can just, kind of let me know and have a word.
Well, you've spoken about the estrogen dominance. So
Yeah.
it's like only the thing is only you feel.
Uh, Aarti, yeah, can you just speak that again? I think I lost you somewhere in between.
Yeah, the thing is, how do you get to know it's only the heaviness? What you mentioned, that you start feeling a little heavy, you feel a little lethargic during the day.
So,
Uh,
can I just know your age? I think you mentioned 49, right?
49, yeah.
At the age of 49, when you're dealing with menopause, okay? In 95% of the cases, if you see your body a little bulky, a little bloaty, fluffy kind of a body, that could be one of the very first signs of giving you a clue that you are high on estrogen dominance. Okay, physically when you see it, but from the perspective of feeling it, estrogen dominance is behind headaches, it's behind bloated body, it is behind PMS, it's behind irritability, it's behind mood swings. So in totality, those nagging issues that you may be facing in your body during this phase of your life, possibly it is to do with estrogen dominance, because this is also the time when estrogen, the good estrogen is declining, and the impact of bad estrogen that you may have accumulated because of the use of maybe skincare products that got in bad estrogens, or through foods that got in bad estrogen, starts to kind of show up, because good is going down now. Yeah. So, but having said that, maybe there are a lot of other symptoms as well. If you Google and try to find out symptoms of estrogen dominance, you'll get to know it's much more than what I just mentioned. So these are some of the quick symptoms that you can realize. But basis my consultations also that I come across with women on these cases, I've realized about 90 to 95% in 90 to 95% of the cases, estrogen dominance is the case, majorly because our diet, lifestyle, and stress factors are very high, which we don't ever realize that we have to do something about it.
Yeah, though I've been trying to, almost 8-9 years, I've been trying to live a very healthy lifestyle. I mean, trying to cut down totally on my sugar intake. But now it's like, since now I feel the craving for sugar. This is happening now. I've been
This
seeing
is
this.
I know this
Yeah.
will happen, and
Hmm.
this is again to do with hormonal imbalance. The moment you start to bring down your cortisol levels, you will see your cravings will automatically come down.
Mhm. Yeah. But then, I try to balance that is as well, like trying to have something which is like chicky, or, something which is made out of jaggery, but a little limited quantity. But sometimes it happens like, you just want to have, and I keep on having, I can finish one whole bar of chicky at times. Though
See,
I
it
don't
happens
go
with
towards the dark
everybody.
chocolate.
I
Yeah.
can relate to it because I think I'm sailing in the same boat, a few years lesser than you for sure. But being into this field, knowing a lot about it, practicing it for last few years, and then getting into it early, still, I feel if I can have all of these symptoms. What happens to a person who's just not aware, who's not aware of diet, lifestyle, never practiced it. So it's very normal, and these hormones definitely play a havoc. It's more about being aware and realizing how it works, and then working in a 360-degree fashion to make sure that you're supporting these hormones. From the for these cravings perspective, one thing that I would highly recommend you to try out is try going high on fiber. Once you start to go high on fiber, there's a sense of satiety and fulfillment that automatically brings down the craving. So if you're lacking fiber and you're consuming a lot of refined foods, one, it gets digested quickly. Secondly, your blood sugar imbalances go up, and when they go up, your body functions in a mode that if it is up and if it comes a little down, your body will tell you it's down, I need more. And that's where the cycle keeps happening. I need more, I need more, I need more, because it is already more. You need to bring it
Exactly.
down by going high. One, also making sure that you're not constipated, and secondly, bringing in high fiber rich foods. And even if you don't like it, making sure you have a full platter of salad or good fiber before your meals, and fill your body with it, and then have your meals. So learn to fill your body with the right stuff. The wrong will not kind of bother you.
Yeah, I've been trying to do all that. I mean, you'll not believe I've been doing IF for so many years. IF, yeah, intermittent fasting. I've been doing for a long time, but now lately I've started stop following it now because I don't
I
know
would
why I
recommend
thought
don't do
my
it. I
Hmm.
would recommend don't do it, because see,
Yeah, I've stopped following it now. Hmm.
intermittent fasting is good, okay, but there is a way how to do it. Now our
Yeah.
problem is that we know intermittent fasting and we just get into it because the world is getting into it. We don't realize, will my body be able to sustain intermittent fasting? And
Yeah.
even if you have to get it, it is very good. Of course, I'm not against intermittent fasting. I recommend it, but I say prepare your body for intermittent fasting. Don't
Exactly.
randomly get
Yeah.
into it, because if you get into it randomly, you will fail someday. You will not be able to sustain it.
Yeah, that is what I have been doing for so many years now, but now it is like I can't take it. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah, so don't
Now
do it
I've
because your
stopped.
body, don't do
Yeah.
it. And even if you want to do it, you know what, once you whatever practices we discussed in the sessions, when you start doing those, you will realize that you will be able to do intermittent fasting, because your body will not ask for much. It is its cravings, because there are some imbalances. Once those imbalances start to fill in, your body automatically will get into that mode of that dincharya flow automatically.
Yeah. So one more thing, like, see, you mentioned about probiotics. I've been taking like some fermented foods, kanji. I keep making quite often. But one thing is, but I think the microbes what are necessary for your daily functioning and all that is not being able to, like, that is not going to replenish so fast. Like we have lost.
Continuity is
So
the key.
can I start? Yeah, start with some supplements initially so that I
Yeah.
reach to a certain level and then I start with my probiotics, natural probiotics. Can that be done?
Why do you feel that you're not getting enough probiotics? Is there a
Because
reason?
at times I feel, yeah, that like I have bloating. I have this a lot of bloating at times. Yeah, because of my age, actually, I feel that that bloating sensation,
So
also
I
the
tell you what,
heaviness after a
there
meal.
there is a possibility that, as you said, you may be low on probiotics. There is a possibility, but if you're continuously consuming fermented foods, specifically with each meal, so some of the good ones and quick ones to make, I would recommend would be something that I mentioned: ginger and turmeric pickle. And very
Mhm.
small, very quick to make pickle that our grandmas used to make. Just add some salt to it, add some lemon to it, keep it in a bottle, and I think it starts to get pinkish. The ginger starts to get pinkish. It is a
Mhm.
sign that it's fermented. And having it with your meal every single day, even if you're consuming that much, you're ensuring that some part of probiotic is getting into your body.
Right.
Okay. Then maybe making kanji on a regular basis, having fermented rice. Again, very simple recipe to make. Whatever rice you make through the day, just dip it in water before bedtime.
Yes,
uh,
I've been doing that. I've been
yeah,
doing that.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
if
then
you
I
if
still feel this the colony of the microbe which needs to be in the body that is not there. So I still feel sometimes shall I
no,
start with a
there are,
probiotic initially, a supplement kind of a thing,
yes,
so
I
that the
would
colony
recommend that.
count is maintained?
You can do that, okay. You can do that. Having said that, I can again tell you one more thing: there is no guarantee of, even after taking supplements, that you'll be able to maintain that colony for various reasons.
Okay. Okay.
Menopause, stress, I have focused enough on a lot. Menopause, I mentioned, is the time when system is going through a lot of up and down, right? If your digestion is shut or improper for whatever reasons, okay, uh, the probiotics that you're consuming, see, ultimately probiotics work in the large intestine. So they have to go through this process of passing through the stomach acid, reaching the small intestine, and then moving on to the large intestine. So there's no shortcut to that. In the process, we don't know how many of them are getting killed at the stomach level. We don't know how many of them are reaching the large intestine. And that's why continuity is important. And that's why variety is also important. The probability of good microbes reaching your large intestine through food sources is higher than supplement sources. Okay, because in food they are binded in that entire thing, like for example sauerkraut, it's fermented, so the good bacteria is everywhere in that food. So when you're chewing, it's going through your system, and with that food only it's traveling through your large intestine. In probiotics, not that they're not effective. My only concern with probiotics only is that how much are these probiotic the good bacteria is activated in probiotics by the time it is packaged and reaches you. In foods, because you're preparing fresh, 5 दिन का आपका जो बना हुआ पीक पे और आपने वो लिया, and then right. But supplements, if even if the shelf life is 3 years, आपने suppose 3 years की expiry से 2 महीने पहले लिया या 4 महीने 6 महीने पहले लिया, for 2.5 years it was lying on the shelf. You don't know what is the efficacy of that now, because the effectivity comes down. Having said that, it is always a good idea to bring in some supplements as well, with diverse range of probiotics coming in. Okay, you can try that, definitely do that, but I would say in the long run stick to variety of foods, because that variety that you're talking about, you'll get it through majorly through foods as well, but through different variety of fermented foods. Supplements ke liye, if you're going for supplements, be very choosy and particular. Now, because I'm in Canada right now, so when I was in India, I was just aware of a few colonies of probiotics, but here I just kind of delved into the system and the industry, and I realized that they have gone a step above, and they've tried to figure out probiotics for specific functions and parts of the body. Like now, to the extent that research has gone to a level where they're researching what kind of probiotic strains can be used for bringing down depression. So they're working on probiotics that can be used as an antidepressive medicine. So you don't need the antidepressants anymore. A good probiotic with specific strains will work on your brain to bring about changes in your moods and brain activity. So it's reached that level. I don't know how much is happening in India right now, but here they've reached that level. There are certain strains that are specifically meant to work on female hygiene, parts where your vaginal area, where there's a lot of bacterial activity going on, specifically during menopause, because you're getting low on good bacteria. So there are specific strains which are meant to only flourish feminine areas for good bacteria, and they are called like feminine probiotics. There are certain other probiotics which are only meant to work on your scalp. Somebody losing a lot of hair, there are certain strains which have been studied which help to kind of work on your hair quality and health as well. So there are different diversifications that has happened, and that diversification is majorly based on understanding of specific kinds of strains. Okay, what I would recommend, if you really want to bring in the supplements, and if you have any specific concerns for which you're looking for those supplements, maybe try doing some Google research and try to figure out what are the specific strains meant to work on this specific area that you're looking for. Maybe make a list of those strains, and when you're looking for a probiotic, try to match if that specific probiotic has those supplement strains. That will be way more effective than just including any random one in your routine.
Right. And how do you understand, like, there's like they say when you're taking a D3, you need to include in some magnesium or some kind of a zinc, and your K2 as well.
On probiotics, on supplements, one thing that I've realized working with the clients also and delving into the market here deeper as well, our body is not meant to process complexity, whether it is emotions or compounds. The simpler you keep, the better you stay. So if it is about supplements, have a supplement that has just one item, one or not more, like 1 or 2 items, not more than that in one supplement. So if it is vitamin D, let it be only vitamin D without any combination of magnesium or calcium or various other things.
Yeah, I mean, not the single capsule will not have the combination, but like if I'm taking a vitamin D, So do I take in magnesium as well with it? Because sometimes I feel muscle cramps going on in the body and all.
How
At
the
this age,
hierarchy
sometimes I feel the cramps. So I feel
how the
maybe
hierarchy how the hierarchy goes. Whenever you start to take vitamin D supplements, you have to again you have to prepare your body. Vitamin D randomly किसी ने बताया और आपने ले लिया should not be done like that. Okay,
yeah.
few things that you should be knowing before taking vitamin D. Get your vitamin D test done. That's the first thing. Okay, if you are ranging somewhere between say 20, somewhere less than 20 or in 20s or something, that's very low. Okay, I remember when for the first time I got it diagnosed, I was 6 and I haven't seen anybody who's below 6 except my daughter
Yeah.
who also
Same here. Even I was five.
yeah, great. Okay, you're the first one with that number that I'm coming across.
Yeah.
So that is very less. Now with vitamin D, if it is that less, you first need to bring it up to a level. Okay, that will happen with a high dose. So maybe having a 60,000 IU for a month, like every week or howsoever your doctor recommends. So that will at least up your level of vitamin D. Okay, so this should bring it up to, depending how your absorption is, this should bring it up to say 25, 30 types or 40 or wherever it reaches. Once you reach a point, after that it is about maintenance. So then you don't need 60,000 IU. Then stay consistent with 5,000 IU on a regular basis and keep going. But before you do that activity, your body saturates vitamin D saturates magnesium out of your body. It is a part of its processing. So before you take vitamin D, make sure that your magnesium levels are up. So how the approach should be, up your B12 and magnesium for about 15 days or 1 month before starting to take vitamin D. Once you start taking vitamin D, see what your numbers are. If it is very low, top it up with high dose to reach a certain level. Once you reach a certain level, go on to maintenance of 2K or 5K depending how much you need. And along with to make sure that vitamin D is working inside your body, combine it with K2. Vitamin D without K2 will not give you the best results. So that's the approach that you need to take.
Yeah. And see, since I experience this bloating or sometimes, heaviness in the meal after a meal, can I start with betaine?
See, okay, I have worked in this area, and it's a field of functional medicine. Frankly, I know a lot of people are getting benefited out of it. Frankly, I don't believe in it. Okay, because betaine, you're trying to up your digestive acid, right?
Yeah,
Now,
right.
digestive acid, जो मैं आपको ginger वाला तरीका बता रही हूँ. If you start to take a lot of ginger water in your diet or have ginger pickle in your diet, go back to your grandma times. They did not ever had any kind of digestive issues. They were very high on food, which
1 minute. I had started with ginger, prior to my meal, I would just not even grate the ginger, just peel the ginger, wash it well, and I would just chew it with little warm water. Would that would also help me? But then, I don't know why I just stopped doing that. And again, I started experiencing. Then I just read this and all. And I started, maybe, chalo, let's start with betaine. Yeah.
No, okay. So one takeaway definitely for you from my side from this session is going to be keep food secondary. Okay. Whatever you know a lot and you're doing a lot and you want to do good things, which is good, and that is what is required. But you also need to make sure that the machinery that's processing all of it has to be strong. And so what I'm trying to say is, yes, betaine can help. Okay. But if you ask my approach, I will never go ahead with betaine, even if I need it. What I will do is I will start to do some yogic practices to make sure that I strengthen my digestive system so that even if that ginger that I'm taking has a good effect on me once my machinery is strong. Okay. Through all of these medications or supplements, then when we are taking, what we are trying to do is we are trying to add on one more thing that will help us reach a little better. One more thing that will help us reach a little better without realizing somewhere there is a possibility that our machinery may not even have enough strength. And how do I strengthen that machinery? By working on my abdominal organs, by doing some practices, doing some core practices that will help strengthen my digestive lining, digestive cavity. Once it's strong, the secretions will automatically be strong. In that case, you might not even need ginger, because once you see our system is complete in itself, it's self-fulfilled. आपका stomach acid आप बाहर से तो नहीं डालते हो ना, जिसकी एक healthy body होती है उसके अंदर से ही produce होता है, even if they're not focusing on foods. So somewhere there is a what through functional medicine techniques, what we are trying to do is we are not focusing on that functionality. What we are saying is let's keep that functionality aside. जो gaps हैं let's try to fill in, because इसमें acid की कमी है तो हम ऊपर से acid डाल देते हैं. But that will not, initially it may give you results, but that will not sustain you for long. आप थोड़ा सा acid डालोगे आपकी body, and then the body becomes sluggish. वो कहती है मुझे ऊपर से मिल रहा है तो why should I produce myself? So temporarily it will give you results. In the long run, it'll say it'll become sluggish. It'll say now I don't have energy to produce more because I was getting it. Now give me more. Now give me more. तो आज आप Betaine लोगे, आज आप एक dose लोगे, maybe it helps you. Another year you face the same problem, then one dose of Betaine will not work for you. You will need two because the system has gone sluggish. So my learnings after learning even modern medicine, ancient medicine, and all of that, I've come back to this thing. जितना complicate करेंगे उतना complicate होगा. And yoga has given us such a beautiful mechanism कि आपको, you don't complicate yourself and don't even get into the technicalities and complexities. You don't need to. The only thing that you need to do is make sure that you're working on strengthening your systems. That's the key word. If your system is strong, वो secretions भी proper होंगी, insulin भी सही produce होगा, blood sugar भी अपने आप जहाँ पहुँचना है पहुँच जाएगा, stress भी अपने आप नीचे आ जाएगा. Everything will happen automatically, जिसके लिए science में everything we are trying to achieve through food. So foods are power, but foods cannot do everything.
Right. Yeah. One more thing is like, how do I get my weight to reduce? Do I have to reduce my carb intake for this at this moment?
Carb, going a little low on carb, going a little high on little high on proteins to bring up your satiety level, and going very high on fiber.
Yeah, but what happens if when I increase my protein level, I start feeling the bloating sensations?
So protein आपको बहुत drastically नहीं बढ़ाना है, और आपको protein digestible sources की form में बढ़ाना है. Don't go by the numbers कि किसमें कितना protein है और कितना नहीं है. Go by whatever is so even if it means moong dal or a combination of 2-3 dals that work for you. If you have it regularly, that's okay, because it's digestible form of protein. Indigestible form of protein is not kind of that will give you bloating, not the other one.
So does this also impact your eyesight also?
I have no clue. I mean, see, in totality, yes, definitely everything in totality works, but direct correlation of this, I don't think has on your eyesight as such.
Because eyesight, sometimes I feel this like, a little dullness in my head at times, like I'm totally blank. हो क्या रहा है, क्या
Breath
नहीं हो रहा है.
practices, breathing, lack of oxygenation, breathing practices will help you there. Okay. Yeah. Harshita, are you still there? Listening to all the conversation?
I'm here. Yes.
Okay. Do you also have any question?
Yes, I had just two questions. I don't know if you mentioned it, but I missed it. How to first increase your estrogen level, and what about the
You have to
21
work
days?
on increasing your estrogen levels. Excess of estrogen also, I told you, is bad. Okay. You just have to work on maintaining your estrogen levels.
Yeah,
Okay.
so how do we balance it? Like if it's
So,
low
okay.
or
So there are three things that will help from the food perspective. You can start, maybe have some foods, but what's your age?
28.
28.
Yes, and I feel it's very low for me. Like I have lots of dryness and stuff like that.
No, so don't worry. Estrogen at 28 is never low. Okay.
Okay.
It may be a little imbalanced, but it is never low. So you don't have to worry about increasing your estrogen. What you need to do is the dryness that you're facing, maybe because of some external factors also, or maybe your body may have more toxins. It's nothing to do with estrogen right now, as long as your menstrual cycle is okay. Okay, so that's a good parameter. So, but to maintain estrogen, you need to focus at your age, you need to more focus on detoxifying your body, eliminating your body of excesses. तो आपके पास जो excesses है वो निकलने लगेंगे, तो estrogen जो आपके पास enough है, that will automatically get balanced. So maybe again same clue, have probiotics, have a lot of fiber related fiber rich foods that will help elimination, have a lot of hydration, water that will help the flow keep going. Get into some yoga practices if you can, or if not yoga, maybe some exercising practices that will bring down the stress levels. That will, so आपके body में जो भरा हुआ है उसको निकालना है at this age. ठीक है? Once you start emptying it out, whatever is there will start to kind of balance it automatically at your age, of course.
Okay, and you was mentioning you are about some 21 days where we can really transform our lifestyle. So if you can tell us more about it.
Okay, so so whatever we've understood or learned today in the session, I'm converting it into a doable program. Okay, this is a 21-day program which I'll be launching on Monday, coming Monday. So this program, अभी इसका जो layout है, how it's going to be. It's a 21-day yoga, Ayurveda, and dietary program. You will be getting a 21-day diet plan from me, which would be specifically focused on the areas that we discussed, including foods that will feed you all of these areas. You'll receive the recipes, some of the recipes, and some of them I leave it up to you to kind of bring in some variety that you want. There will be a deeper educational session beyond what we discussed. Just maybe we'll get into nitty-gritties of diet, ki how the framework should look like. आपका diet में from the food perspective क्या क्या आना. अभी तो I just talked about broadly. I gave you a framework, but what goes into that framework, I'll be talking of that in the education session. Then it's going to be personal guidance on diet, supplements and herbs that you need for your specific age. Like for Aarti, I would highly recommend ashwagandha, looking at her conditions and age. For you, I think maybe not ashwagandha. Aarti, just give me a second. Just give me a second. I'll just complete her question and then come back. So, herbs, supplements joined in together along with 21 days of yoga practice, which I'll be taking those classes, which will be dedicatedly focused on working on these areas, female areas that we talked about, starting from your, brain, coming on to your pelvis, to your, specific areas which have an impact on your hormonal health. So it will be basically 21 days of hormonal yoga joined with diet for hormones and education on what we are doing, so that once you're done with the program, you can sustain with it with all that education and experience that you have.
Yeah. That's really great, Deepti. And since you mentioned about these, I've just written down the Shatavari and Ashwagandha. I mean, ashwagandha is for your sleep or for the overall?
Ashwagandha helps with the sleep, but ashwagandha reduces your cortisol levels, which is what we have been talking about. So
Okay.
it brings your system into more calm and PNS state.
Okay. And Shatavari?
Shatavari is specifically for hormonal imbalance, for hormonal balance. It has
Okay.
certain compounds
And
so the estrogen part that we were talking about, somewhere that hormonal balance happens with Shatavari, as it helps balance these estrogen and progesterone hormones out there. Yeah.
And
Okay,
this 21 day system, this session, what you're saying, would that be taken personally by you, or it would be just a recording?
It'll be taken all personally by me. The diet is what I'll be creating the diet personally. Diet and supplement recommendation is going to be personal. Yoga sessions also I will take, and education, of course, I'll impart. So it's all being done by me, because this is a niche area, and I think you need to know what areas to work on, which I cannot pass it on to anyone, to the team out there.
Exactly.
So I'll be doing it personally. Yeah.
And other than that, do you have your yoga sessions as an Indian Standard Time?
I'm starting it soon. And I'm working on it maybe another month's time. I'm starting the yoga program soon. Again, these will be the themed ones. As I said, my major focus is females' health, women's health. Considering I'm also sailing in the same boat, I'm working a lot on different parameters for myself, and I want to kind of incorporate all of that in the offerings that I have, whether it be diet programs or yoga.
Yeah.
But specifically women
it.
in their 40s, that's my focus, because one realization that I had was I have been so very particular since my early 30s about diet and studying all of that and doing it. But 40s में आके अगर ये मेरे साथ हो सकता तो जिसको नहीं पता उसके साथ तो क्या ही होता होगा. And so that's why I want to kind of have programs where you bring in people from all the ages, जो कि early age वाला prepare कर सकता है उस age के लिए, जो already उस age में है वो maintain कर सकता है या reversal कर सकता है. So that's how the approach is going to be.
So just please keep us informed. We'd like to enroll for that.
Definitely. So I think I'll go for, I'll launch this program on coming Monday. 21 days of a program. You'll get the details. Where did you get the intimation from for this program as well? Was it through WhatsApp or through email, or because
No, I didn't receive the email. But thing is, I just saw it on your Insta page. You had mentioned about the program. Okay. Yeah, I've been following you. Yeah.
Okay. So anyways, you've registered this program through my website. So the next program that we do, of course, you'll get an emailer, because I think we have your email now. So I'll keep you informed, and then this program, to give you a tentative timeline, it'll start in April, first week of April, and would last till first week of somewhere around first week of May.
Okay.
Okay. Chalo then. Thank you so much for joining.
Thank you so much. It was lovely talking to you and listening to all the informative the knowledge you've given us about the health. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.